Yeah, guy, I just want to say again, amazing turnout tonight. Really, really gratifying because when we're coming up with or thinking about doing not after hours, March Matters again, because it was a lot last year. Because keep in mind, myself, Garrett, Jim, not Perry, we all have regular jobs, so it's a chore to do a stream every night, and my schedule isn't what it used to be. I used to be able to do after hours all the time. It's funny. I go back to these old streams when we do premieres and stuff. I was like, God damn, is there another after hours on there? Like, how many freaking after hours did I do? I think I've run out of things to talk about by now. But it's very gratifying to know that people showed up, because I was like, all right, well, I was looking at Tuesday, Thursday, and Tuesday, not a normal stream day, because I don't want to mess with a normal stream day, because then people will be in an uproar. I'm not going to say, oh, media shares all of a sudden on Rumble. I'm not going to do that. Well, I'm not going to do that right now. Who knows what the future holds? But I didn't want to do that. So I think Tuesday, you can't really complain too much. We don't normally stream on Tuesdays anyway. So, and Tuesdays also, a little inside baseball, it's the hardest day for all of us, because by far, Monday Night PCL is the busiest stream of the week. It's bigger than Friday, more numbers on Friday, it's busier than Friday. It's the busiest one of the week. That's the main event. Monday Night PCL is the main event. So Tuesdays are rough, especially now. Last night wasn't so bad because we ended at a reasonable time. It was only 5 hours, but today wasn't so bad. But normally, anyway, what I'm saying is normally it's rough because then you got to do your regular job and then you got to transition to this. So and that's why I was thinking originally of starting March Matters at 7 p.m. East Time, 4 p.m. Pacific, but it just leaves me with almost no turnover from like work to like life to like eating dinner to this, and it's a lot. So and that's why I don't want to go crazy. I think we were over like maybe 4 hours and 20 minutes tonight or something like that, right? 4.5 hours, which is fine. We're right about right, It's about where I want them to be. Some people ask me all the time, what's my ideal length for a PCL stream? Honestly, it'd be 3 to 4 hours. I know we're never going to get to 2 hours, but it's just the way Perry, between deliveries and Perry's slow movements and everything, there's just no way. And I was saying last night on the stream, I was watching a little clips of that stream low cal live, and only because they made, they got big hits on there, a couple of tirade clips that they had where a guy like shoved his wife and stuff, so it went viral, so it was all over the place. And I noticed how they were doing like the TTS tip comments, but they were just playing randomly in order and nobody was really commenting on them. So and you can move things along like that, because we could do that. We could set it up and, hey, maybe Perry will pay attention, maybe he won't. But, we make sure that Perry pays attention to each one. That's the engagement. That's the engagement, because there's nobody like Perry. And I know, like, other people who stream and various topics, various things, they always have ebbs and flows. Like, oh, they're not doing so great now. Their numbers are down. People are always going to be here. People don't give a shit about me. People don't give a shit about any one of us except Perry. Perry's fascinating. There's nobody like Perry. So there's always going to be an audience for Perry. They want to get, whether you want to talk to him about 92 for the millionth time or you want to do this or that. And I want to add other elements where, not just, I'm working a lot on these AI voices for the super tip system. They're super slow to implement, and some of them don't come out right. Like I had an Andrew Dice Clay, and it didn't sound anything like him when they came back with it. So I'm a OCD perfectionist with that stuff. Like George Foreman, when he first was put into the system, it just didn't have his cadence. It didn't sound right, and I was like. And I think the guy that doesn't maybe got annoyed with me. Like this, I'm not I don't want to do that. So I work on the clip. I got to go in like on the internet, YouTube mainly, and find instances of him talking for the AI to pick up on his cadence. And I don't want it to be an interview because he's flat. I wanted it to be like infomercial. Mainly it was from infomercial George Foreman when he's doing the grill pitch. So I'd have to edit his segments only. And then also there was a really good interview where he was very animated, and I took that. So I took 20 minutes of him, and then that sample nailed it. Rosie O'Donnell voice, maybe. I've thought about that. I'll tell you what I worked on just recently. I got a Fran Drescher that's, I don't know where it is, but because I had to watch like 4 episodes of The Nanny to pull her clips and then edit just her parts. I did Casey Anthony recently because Casey Anthony was on TikTok and did like this video where she's just talking for a lot. And so Casey Anthony, hopefully coming soon, who's obsessed with Perry. And who else who was on deck? I got to redo some. I wanted to do Gilbert Gottfried because, again, if Perry doesn't know they're dead, they're alive as far as we're concerned. I actually wrote down a note tonight because he mentioned Robert Blake. He doesn't know. So if he doesn't know Robert Blake's dead, Robert Blake would be fantastic. So coming soon, Robert Blake. I think O.J. Simpson is fair game because I don't think he knows that O.J.'s passed away. I think that's fair game. Yeah, the dumb woman who killed her kids. I know. That's a little edgy. Let's see. And Wilford Brimley. And I was inspired last night because somebody sent in a Wilford Brimley tip. I was like, I would love... And I got to write out what they say in the intros, too. So I put Wilford Brimley as... this is Wilford Brimley, and I'd like to talk to Perry about diabetes. No, I'm just joking. I want to talk about 92. But I had to find him today, and luckily I was able to find his diabetes commercials. So this is kind of what the sample sounds like.
When you first find out from your doctor you got diabetes and you're handed a fistful of prescriptions, it can be mind-boggling. And you'll ask yourself, how in the world am I going to...
And that goes on for 10 minutes. And then this is Fran. These are just this is the raw sample that the AI has to interpret. And, so this is Fran.
Honey, are you gorgeous? You look just like a virgin. Here, I brought you some crackers for your morning sickness. Oh, you know me. Always.
It was excruciating going through Fran because you have to cut out the laugh track, you have to cut out the other person's dialogue. So I spent a lot of time. I hope Fran works out. So anyway, that's a little what goes on there. And then I still want to add some other people. So and I'm always open to suggestions. I'm always writing down little notes. You can't stand her voice, Blade Runner. Well, that's kind of the point, right? She's got a very distinctive voice, and Perry doesn't like, and that's the thing. The guys that do the super tip system, they really fought me on allowing to do voices and having the person's name on the comment, right? So when you hear Gordon Ramsay, it says Gordon Ramsay. Otherwise, normally the system had it where it would say Tony Pandoloni, and then Gordon would be talking, but that breaks the reality. And they were like, yeah, we can't do that, because we don't want people. And I was like, well, then I'm not using your system. And then all of a sudden they did an about face because they know the kind of engagement we get. Okay, we'll do it for you. And then they did it. Now it's great. So. But it's just an example of people just don't understanding Perry. I might do a fake Perry like me. I actually recorded myself as a fake Perry, like saying I might have that as an option for something. I really wanted to click in where a voice can read the super chats and stuff like that, rather than the TTS voice on occasion. I would love that. Amy's voice is just a generic. Amy, I had a real hard time with Amy because obviously I have no idea what Amy sounds like. And what I wanted in my head was like an evil female villain from like a cartoon. And the first person that came to my mind was the woman in Major League, who is the owner of the Cleveland Indians in the first two movies, where she's like the evil, like high class evil woman. And I started going through Major League pulling her scenes, but it just didn't work because her voice is a little too affected, almost to the point where she sounds British. She's got that like highfalutin accent, and it just wasn't working. And then I just said to the guy who does the super tip system, I said, is there a way I can just go through voices that are available generically, and you can put different algorithms in? So I just told him what I wanted. I said I wanted like evil cartoonish female villain. Like, that's kind of what I wanted. And then he came back with a couple of choices, and the one that we use now is one of the choices. And I heard it and I was like, it didn't hit me. It took me a while to warm up to it because it's so over the top. And I think a lot of people feel that way, but now it's just, that's her voice. And the thing I tested with it is I just did a test sample for Perry to hear, because Perry's the one that has to like it. And I said, hey, I think I got a message from your sister-in-law, and it was like, hello, Tom, I'm trying to contact Perry, because and I just played it to him like over the phone, and he's like, that's her, that's the bitch, that's her. And I just was like, I had to mute the phone, and I was like, yes, thank you, God. Because that's all you need is his seal of approval, and I'm also in an AI voice too. I got Ginger Miller coming, and I had to find a picture of her, and that's another generic AI voice because he's not going to remember her voice. And then I got Heidi, Total Eclipse Heidi, I called her Heidi the secretary, and I used I had to find pictures, and I was texting him, and I was like, hey, I think I found Heidi. And he's like, Heidi who? And I was like, Heidi from the Randy Callahan's secretary. And I had a couple of photos in mind for that, and I wanted someone that looked like somebody very dated 90s looking, and I ended up picking Crystal Bernard, who I don't know if anybody knows who that is. She was on the show Wings. She was like the blonde on Wings, which was one of those sleeper 90s sitcoms that just ended up going on for a long time, but not a lot of people watched it. And I just used her picture. I kind of, went Google image, looked her up, and then found a picture. And I said, yeah. And I sent it to him, and he goes, oh my God, that's her. And again, I was like, yes. So that's the picture. When you see Heidi come up, it's going to be Crystal Bernard, because I just wanted generic blonde 90s looking woman, and that was one of the three candidates that I had. And I didn't want to be somebody so famous that he'd be like, that's Crystal Bernard. Nurse Brenda's another one. Yeah, I have that. That's going to be another AI. Antonio Scarpacci, Tony Shalhoub's second best character. What is that? Which one is that one from? Is that the guy? Is that the cab driver in Quick Change? I don't know that one off the top of my head. But yeah. Anyway, there's a lot. So there's a lot of people I want to add. I really want to just add so many choices because people use Randy Callahan so much. I didn't do it because I know people like Randy Callahan, but I almost want to turn him off like once a week, like on one day. No, you can't do Sheba because he knows that's dead. They got to be alive. Oh, the Wing. Oh, on Wings, of course. Yeah, Wings. Cab driver. He also has a great role in Quick Change. Tony Shalhoub, one of my all-time favorite. I love Tony Shalhoub. But Perry's got to buy into the reality of the voices. He's got to. If it's somebody dead, then it's just like. He's not that he would even question. He really will. I'm giving him too much credit. He wouldn't be questioned. What about the Kenny voice? That is an interesting one because he knows Kenny's voice. And I tried a fake AI one, and the same thing. He's like, that's not him. And then I do have a sample. And actually, Grimace aka Dave Navarro, helped me with this. He got he pulled a sample from when Perry called him on the speakerphone on stream, and that was just a very small sample. We kind of got a sample, but it wasn't. It just wasn't right. It sounded too robotic. So I got the idea that I would call Kenny, because I have his number, and I would call him from like a survey company and just promise him like, hey, sir, please, is this Kenny Caravello? Yes, I'd like to ask you a survey. Can I ask you a couple of questions? And I'm going to give you a $20 Amazon gift card for your troubles. Obviously, he's going to hang up, if, you know, as anybody would. Hang up on a survey call and then record the call. And just because I need his voice sampled. You know, I need him talking. And obviously, that's not a person that's on YouTube right now. As much as we'd like to think that Kenny Caravello Live is a real thing, he's not on anywhere. So I want to get him recorded. I've just been putting it off. I got to do it. I've just been putting it off. But I'm going to record the call and then sample the voice and use that for the AI. And then he's going to know his brother's voice. So that's what we're gonna do. Dan Dizak, no, because you know what? I like. There's something about Dizak being submitted by the TTS that I love, and I don't. Maybe someday, but it's not something that I want to do. You know, is Kenny not willing? Kenny might be willing to tie, but I have no, you know, I don't want to rattle any cages or anything like that. So I just thought, you know what, I'll pay $20 for an Amazon gift card, give it to him, and talk to him for 10 minutes on the phone and just get his voice sampled. Yeah, you only need you only need about 5 minutes of somebody, and then you can just loop it. You really need a minimum of 15 minutes of a voice, and some are harder. Oh, Mike O'Hearn's another one. Mike O'Hearn's all over YouTube. That's going to be super easy. I'd like to do Mike O'Hearn. He's on my list. So there's that. And yeah, there's a whole other list of, I don't know if I have the list in front of me or not. I have a whole other list of ones that I want to work on. What's up with the guitar? Any plans? No plan. There's no like active storyline with the guitar. Like really, it's just, the next plan for it would be, I just wanted to go to, this is what I would like to do with the guitar. In about a year or so, maybe less, I would like to auction the guitar off, Angelwood, and give it the proceeds to charity or something, you know? Maybe Perry gets some of it. But I want actual celebrities to interact with the guitar and not have it computer graphed, photoshopped, you know? So Michael J. Fox really handled the guitar. Michael J. Fox really signed the guitar, okay? So did Corey Feldman. So who's the next person? I don't know. And it's got to make sense in our universe. Obviously, the dream would be Gina, but, you know, she's busy. Not just with Jim, but she's, like, you know, doing that Disney lawsuit. So she's not really doing the convention circuits. But, yeah, and really, the grand plan for and I don't know if he just has the motivation for it. I really, in my head, wanted to do a thing with the guitar where it would just be a way to get him to travel across the country, like a Pee-wee's Big Adventure that we can document and film and then stream along the way. Like, hey, Perry, like here, like whoever has it, right? Whoever gets the guitar. And, you know, and I don't ever mention the guitar on the air, if you notice. Like people, I see people commenting like, oh, you got to end the guitar thing. Why? We don't actively push it. It's not an active thing. Not by us, anyway. You know, we did the Michael J. Fox thing. He's got the sign thing. And maybe we'll do some more things with Michael J. Fox. But then it's got to go to somebody else. And then it's hot for, like, that stream or a couple of streams. And then it moves on to somebody else. But I would like the guitar to end up somewhere like Florida. And then Perry and I drive across country, you know, maybe the whole gang. And it's like Perry's big adventure. Getting the guitar and coming close to getting the guitar, you know, but not quite, and have a little adventure across country, and then actually getting it. Actually, he gets it back, you know. And then Angel would say, hey, you know what? After all this, I really don't want it. Let's just auction it off. And then it'll be worth something because you got all these idiots signing it, from from that stupid band, Angel Hernandez or whoever the guy's name is, Tommy Figueroa. And but then you got Michael J. Fox, you got Corey Feldman. Michael J. Fox, by the way, that was an expensive one. Like that, we had to pay like $500 for that. That was no joke. That was like, and big shout outs to Officer Lawrence and Dave Navarro for that, because they're the ones. And one of these days we're going to do a PCL podcast where I get Dave Navarro on, and he's got a story of the whole thing with Corey Feldman when he went to, because he went to the concert that Corey Feldman was doing, that he was opening for, and they had a whole backstage thing, and he had to basically sneak the guitar in. It's a great story, and one of these days he's going to tell it on here. But yeah, so that's where the guitar is. But it's not something that's like on the tip of our tongues. Like it's not something where it's not an active storyline really. It's just something that's there, and when something presents itself, the next person and they have to be in the PCL universe. You know what I mean? So it's got to be somebody that has something that, I'm trying to think of like an off-brand. So like Mike O'Hearn having it would be fine. Like if he did a signing somewhere, like, like somebody like that, and just passing it on. And then a good like right now, a good person has it, Michael J. Fox. He doesn't have nefarious intents. Corey Feldman had very nefarious intents for the guitar. Danica Patrick's a good idea, actually, very good idea. But she has to interact with it. And then I think it's good trading it off between a good person and a bad person. And, it's a very thin story. It's not really a story, but the ending is I want him to get it, and I want him to have to work for it to get it, like travel somewhere or do something. Well, the Iron Sheik isn't dead as far as PCL goes, and that's another voice I'm working on. I'm working on Iron Sheik and also Hulk Hogan. I'm taking they're hard because you got to go through all these old promos and cut them up. But yeah, he's dead in real life, so you can't get a picture of him, So that stinks. Yeah, it's like George Foreman, and I mentioned this on the air when Perry took one of his poops last night, but, I was really bummed out. Garrett sent me a message Friday night, and I was kind of checked out. Like after the stream, I kind of just zoned out. Not zoned out, but I wasn't plugged in, and I wasn't checking my phone or anything like that. And he's like, mentioned something about George Foreman. I was like, wait, is that for real? And he said, he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh man, that sucks. I mean, I like George Foreman. He just seems like a nice guy. And then I was thinking selfishly, God damn, I hate having to give up that voice. I just worked on it. And then I was like, yeah, okay, but I'll wait for I'll get a good call. I'll get a good phone call out of it for Patreon because Perry will call me. And I'm waiting. And, Perry's always texting me and calling me about somebody died. And I didn't hear from him Friday night. He went out Friday night. And then Saturday, he was with his pal Dirk, and they were in West Hollywood all day and night. So he avoided the major news, because the major news about George Foreman, I almost said George Floyd, George Foreman happened on Friday and Saturday. So, that... Perry missed the first wave, and then I usually don't do this. I usually don't try to interject direct things, but I was like, God damn it, George Foreman's got to stay alive. And then I sent an email to him from George Foreman. I created a George Foreman account and wrote him, and then created a fake news article that I attached to it, in the body, because I know he was never going to look at an attachment. And it just said George Foreman dead of AIDS. I quickly threw it together, and he said, yeah, there's some woman named Amy. I think I mentioned Amy. I didn't spell it out specifically, but I wanted him to pick up on it, and he did. Within a couple hours, he called me with that voice. Go to Patreon if you want to hear the voicemail. It's like an 8-minute long voicemail. Where he's like, this bitch, and that's where it stayed, and it was like, so I saved George for us. Kickback says Mike Tyson would be a good voice. Yeah, I could see that. Mike Tyson, he's always got some story with people. I sometimes quiz him, like just for my own amusement. And I'll be like, hey, I saw a thing on O.J. Simpson was posting saying that your stream sucked. And he's like, he's an asshole, or something. Because if he thinks he's dead, he's going to be like, he's dead, But he didn't say that, so O.J. Simpson is fair game. So I'm going to do an O.J. voice. And a Gilbert Godfrey voice, maybe even a Norm Macdonald, because he doesn't know. Because I've thrown it out there. I would never take a chance. I even threw out Paul Lynde. I can't remember that guy Paul Lynde, because I just think Paul Lynde would be such a funny voice. Paul Lynde's this very extravagant guy from like the 60s, 70s. He was on Hollywood Squares before my time, of course, but. Not Andy Dick. I don't want to do Andy Dick. Andy Dick is too tied into like Big Three stuff. I don't want to do Andy Dick. Maybe he's low. He's low on the list. Low on the list. But no, Bugs Bunny's a fake character. No, I'm not going to do it. Again, it's got to be real. Albertson's Meat Man, maybe. Bob Saget, I think he knows his dad. And he's not. Bob Saget's not interesting enough. He's too generic. Politicians are unfortunately off the table with this service, but there's another service I'm looking at called Power Chat, right? And it's kind of like a Streamlabs, but they allow you, if you do their paid service, they have a Trump that you can do in there. So you can do Trump, and I hesitate getting too political because I think people are gonna make it again. Trump is only funny to PCL because Perry thinks he's friends with the Trumps. That's the only reason I would even consider using Trump. If people start using it like, hey Perry, I'm a real bad guy, and try to get political with it, it's going to be stomach turning, and I'd have to not use it. Don't do Norm. That would be sad. Well, no, I disagree. I think it makes them alive. It makes them alive in our world. And there's no bigger Norm fan than I am. Can we convince Perry that Andy Kaufman faked his death? Maybe, but that'd be a stretch because that's I don't know. Let me see if I could pull up. Okay, so I got. We couldn't. By the way, can't do Scarlett Johansson for some reason. You can get away with this stuff because it's parody and everything like that, but she had some kind of legal thing with an AI thing of hers on some YouTube video, and there's a precedent for us. So you can't use Scarlett Johansson, which is fine. I mean, you don't need her. But I got Christina Applegate. I'd like to do Whitney Cummings, Tony Alva, but I there's no real videos of him talking. So I mean, he'd have to be a thing. Elon Musk is technically political now, so I guess not. Sylvester Stallone, Jerry Seinfeld, Iron Sheik, as I said, Hulk Hogan, as I said, Dice, possibly Ted Nugent, Robert Wagner, maybe. I originally had Jehovah God written down and have a big voice of God, but again, that would take away from the reality of it. Sean Hannity, Richard Heaney is one I'd like to add. I have him written down here. I had Kathleen Kennedy because she was hot on the stream for a while, but not so much anymore. I thought maybe a generic Taliban guy, like a Talibani, just generic Middle Eastern, angry guy. Possibly Ronald McDonald, and I would sample him from the 80s commercials. And then, that's kind of it. Maybe Charles Nelson Riley. I don't know. Rachel Ziegler. I don't think so. I don't think many people will know who she is. Jennifer Aniston. That's not. Yeah, that's right. I have her down too. Chevy Chase. Yeah, maybe. But now you're getting off the reservation because he doesn't really have. As long as Perry talks about them, Like Steven Spielberg, for example, is great because Steven Spielberg almost ran him over with his car, according to Perry. I don't believe that. Mike Lindell is a great one. They all have vague attachments to Perry in his universe in some way. Michael says, I can listen to Norm on Dennis Miller Radio. Yeah, I think I've gone through all of Norm's appearances on that, especially when he would guest host. I agree with you. That's great stuff. Great stuff. Corey Haim, it's just not... He doesn't know Corey. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be anything, maybe. Yeah, Tony Cox would be a good one, but he has a very different opinion of what Tony Cox is. Who Tony Cox is, I should say. Well, still 440 people watching this nonsense. That's amazing. So, you got to... I'm very particular about the voices. They got to sound good. They got to sound convincing. And they have to make sense in our universe. The rules of PCL are different than the outside world, of course. As long as Perry thinks you're alive, you're alive. And there's a couple of comments that I just didn't play, and I rewrote them and submitted them differently because they were like, Perry, they're lying to you. George Foreman is really dead. And Perry would ignore that and say you're an idiot. But I'm not going to do that. So I'll play it, but I'll play it differently. Dave Navarro voice? No, because we have Dave Navarro on our stream, so why would we need that? Roger Moore, I think he knows Roger Moore's dead, but that would be fantastic if he didn't. I'm actually going to write a note and test him on that. Like, hey, Roger Moore wants to come on the show. We could try it out right now. A live test in person, and if he says he's dead, he's dead. Right, so we're going to try. I didn't want to call Perry, but I just want to try this out. Hey, quick question. Quick question. Very important. Okay, I just got an email from the publicist who represents Roger Moore, Sir Roger Moore. He possibly wants to do an interview because it's coming up on this year is the 40th anniversary of the movie View to a Kill. Would you be up for interviewing Sir Roger Moore?
Yeah, I would be honored.
Okay.
Majorly honored.
Okay, couple of more, just real quick, and then I gotta go. Couple more names to throw at you, if you would be willing to interview them. These are people that are on the podcast circuit. Okay.
Okay.
Paul Lynde from the Hollywood Squares.
Sure. Okay.
I don't know if we get this guy, but Jerry Lewis.
That'd be also an honor.
Jerry Lewis, okay. Charles Nelson Riley.
He was a nice guy when I was a young kid, yeah.
Okay. Gilbert Gottfried.
If that's possible.
Norm Macdonald.
I believe Norman's been here before, yeah.
Okay. And the Iron Sheik, but I don't know about him. He's a little kooky.
No.
Yeah, he's crazy. But okay, I'm going to get back to them. Okay.
Real quick. I barely was able to grab a 50-pound bag.
All right, we'll talk tomorrow. I get it. Okay. Very good. Let's talk about that tomorrow. All right, but listen, more importantly though, I'm going to let Roger Moore's people know that you'd be up for it, and let's see if we can.
I'm honored.
Okay, but you got to be respectful to him. Okay, he's a sir.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know, and he knows that Tom Sims was the stunt guy for that film.
What about? Now this is controversial, but he does have a book coming out later this year, and I'm just saying, you do have a history with him. O.J. Simpson.
Not in my place.
No, virtually, like on the internet. What's that?
I don't know why.
So you don't want to interview him? I thought he'd be...
No.
Because he would get a lot of views.
Whatever you want to do, I don't care.
Okay, well, let's start with Roger Moore.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Okay, cool. All right. Perry, I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your night.
How much money do I have?
Loads. So that's settled. That's settled. That's real time. I think every single one. I saw somebody write in, what's her name? Tammy Faye. He knows Tammy Faye is dead. So that Tammy Faye is not going to happen. But though everybody checked off because that's my Jerry Lewis, and I'd like to get old Jerry, like young Jerry Lewis rather. So there was not a single one that he questioned, not a single one. Joe Rogan, maybe Joe Rogan, yeah, Joe Rogan's possible. So somebody mentioned Cookie to his dad. that would ruin the reality of it though. But yeah, I want to get as many in, so just maybe people have just more variety, and maybe use Randy a lot because I feel Randy's so overused. But that's just me. I know a lot of people love him. Cookie with a face. Yeah, Cookie though would be 99 if he was still alive. Bob Barker, again, he would have to have some connection, like maybe he met him in Palm Springs or something like that. Is everything I mentioned about Cookie actually true? Well, that's why I need fact checkers for this documentary. There's definitely something, in all seriousness, there's definitely something going on with his father because his father changed his name like 7 times and kept moving around. I mean, who does that? I don't think we need Brian because we have Amy. Like, with Brian, if Brian's not much of a character, I don't think he ever really has been. Like, once in a while he writes into the stream and everything like that, but I think Brian, as far as PCL goes, is kind of a cuck to Amy. So Amy kind of takes center stage. Oh, but I should answer this because I'm just kind of trying to pull up some emails that I got. I just want to rattle off because I don't know the next time I'm going to be able to do an after hours. But what's going on with PerryCarroLive.com? Well, here's the deal. So the merch vendor that we used closed up. So we have to find somebody else, another partner to work with. So the site's temporarily just kind of offline, but Rafe, who's our graphic designer, he's the one who came up with all the designs, does all the shirts, does all the merch, came up with the logo to PCL. Very talented guy, does a lot of videos and stuff like that. He wants to do some Amy merch and has wanted to do it for a while, and we thought that this would be the perfect time to do like an Amy takeover thing, just because otherwise the site would be closed for a while. So I think the Chinese shirts are donezo because we're kind of done with the Chinese storyline. In fact, I was trying to get a video done of, but I wanted it to be good. Again, not getting political, but like Trump does all these executive order signature things on camera, and I'd like him to sign an executive order that allows Perry to have his YouTube back on a probationary period. Probationary, so he behaves. Even though, it's not going to work. But I thought that would be kind of a good way to get his YouTube back. Because, the China thing ran its course. Maybe. I'll ask Rafe. He would know, but it's possible. I never got one either. I never got, I only have a couple of shirts. And then somebody else was asking what's going on with Juliet. I don't know because she's been real. Hold on, he's texting me. All right, hold on. I just got to call him real quick, and I don't want it to be on here. Listen, Perry. That's not a done deal. It's not a done deal. I don't know how much you're gonna get paid. I don't know anything about it other than what I told you already. I gotta call them tomorrow and see if that's kosher. Okay, see if that's a done deal. But don't consider it a done deal yet. I'm talking about what you just texted me about going there tomorrow. Yeah, so it's not a done deal yet. I'll let you know tomorrow when it's a done deal. Okay? No, don't, no. Perry, please just listen to me. Again, I'm sorry. I'm not going to tell you these things anymore. Okay? Because then you jump to all these things. I don't know. I don't know anything about pay. I don't know anything. I'm just throwing it out there. Okay? But let me talk to the guy tomorrow and see if it's a thing. Okay? So please, have patience and wait. Thank you. All right. Good night. I'm going to talk to you later. Bye. Oh, this guy. Sorry, I'm sorry to be vague. There's some kind of thing that might happen with him, but I don't know 100% yet. And he's already talking about, how much am I going to get paid? How much money am I making? It's just I don't know. Those are reasonable questions, but he's jumping like 10 steps ahead. Peter North voice, maybe, but I like Peter North again when like Perry reads it or it just pops up. Like I don't know if that's 100% necessary. Anyway, back to Juliet. So for a long time, I changed, and to do her a favor, because she had blocked Perry, I had changed Juliet's number on his phone, and it was a number that we controlled, where I could see, and again, like, so he's not sending her the real creepy stuff. And then, of course, on New Year's Eve, all of a sudden she shows up at Perry's door. Perry appears with the apple, and, you've seen the video. And she needs a ride to the bank and then a ride to a mechanic. Why she couldn't get an Uber, I don't know. And she knew she was messing with Pandora's box there. And then since then, I think she's tried, because she says in the video, I tried to call you. So she must have figured out that he wasn't getting his call. So he put her in as a different number. And anyway, and she plays these games, because right after that, she was completely blanking him, ignoring him, like didn't even like didn't even think that he was alive. Like it would completely ignore him. When's the next TomB week? Thank you, Scary Period, for the $1. I don't know. I don't have anything planned right now. I've had a really, really, really busy year with a lot of like health issues and work stuff, family stuff. But I got good news. I can say this now. I did have some issues, and of course Perry, Michael J. Docs, as I call him, he likes to say this and that. Tom's dying. Tom's, you can't tell Perry anything. So I did have to have this little procedure stuff. I had this issue for the past almost year where I had one of my issues. And I took a couple of nasty falls, and I didn't know if there was something going on with me internally. I had a really high white blood cell count. Your normal blood cell range, I think, is somewhere between 3 and 9. And mine was going from 12 to like 14, 16, 18, 22. And when you have a high white blood cell count, it's a sign of cancer or another problem. And so I had to get all these tests done, scans, blood work up the ass. I had this little thing with my liver, but it's fine. But they all came out. They didn't know what it was. And then the next stage was going to be doing a bone marrow biopsy, which is really painful. That's when they go into the bone and take out, And I've actually done that because my friend, who I've talked about, had a rare blood disease, had to get a bone marrow transplant, and I had to see if I was a match for him. So I did the test. It fucking hurts. They don't put you under. It's like this big ass needle that goes through your bone. And anyway, so by the way, he's fine now. He's recovering nicely. He's finally getting his immunization shots. He's doing really well. So, long story short, I went to every doctor known to mankind. Cardiologist, hematologist, which is blood, a urologist, which examines your urine and make sure you don't have prostate cancer. Ear, nose, and throat for see if there's things. Everybody known to mankind, and anyway, it was a cardiologist. This guy, he's like, listen, dude. He's like, it's a simple solution to this. You could lose weight, and that's because you've got these things that I started doing some real healthier things, and I'm not doing this thing where I'm like this picture of health. I'm not, but I started eating healthy, stopped drinking almost entirely. I'll have a glass of wine with dinner every now and again, if special occasion. But good news is, so last week when I went to my hematologist and they do all this blood work for you, and then you sit there and you get the results right there, and they tell you and that's when again my white blood cell. It was mainly my white blood. There was other little things here and there, but it was mainly the white blood cell count, and it was sky high. And then she came in and she was like, I got good news. You're back you're in normal range today. I was like an 8.9. I hadn't been that low since I started going there. And I was like, yeah, whatever you're doing, keep doing it and come back in 6 months. And that was it. And I was like, I'll take it. That sounds great. And I felt really good. And another thing I've been doing, at the risk of sounding hokey pokey, or mystical, because I'm not that type of dude. I'm very cynical. I have a really good friend. She's a doctor. She lives in Scotland, and she came over to New York just back in January, and I met up with her, and she was wearing this little circle Band-Aid looking thing. And I was like, oh, what'd you do to your hand? And she's like, oh, it's a stem cell patch. And I was like, what? She's like, oh yeah, Robert Kennedy wears them. They're called stem cell. They're they help you grow the they help your own stem cells regenerate stuff in your body. It's good for wellness and stuff. And I've been wearing it, and she was telling me all the things that helped her in the past 6 months she's been wearing it. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna try it, because at the time I was not doing great. And I've been, I don't know about if it's a placebo effect, but since I've been wearing them, I feel great. My sleep's been better. I feel little differences. My hair is a little thicker. Weird things, and I've been reading up on them. So anyway, that's that, and then diet and exercise. Really, that's it. And I hit the gym about 4 days a week. I've been doing. They have a thing at my gym now. They put in a cold plunge, so I do a sauna for 15 minutes when I can. It's finding the time, of course. And then I do a cold plunge. I try to do 2 to 3 minutes in there. Where do you get the stem cell patches? Okay, so, and I'm not advocating this or anything, but it's this company called LifeWave. And the patches that I use are called X39 patches. And that's and then I have a patch for skin, and they have patches for pain. I was actually thinking of getting some for Perry, because they have ice patches for pain, and if you put it on your back, so you keep them on for 12 hours. They look like little circle Band-Aids, and then you take them off for 12 hours. And I've been doing it pretty religiously. How's my dad doing? My dad got some good news too, and I don't mind saying this because he doesn't mind. My dad actually got diagnosed with prostate cancer, but that's the most common form of cancer in males, and also the most treatable. And they did a scan. They do a PT scan on your body to see, where it is, because if it spreads somewhere else, you're in trouble. But it was this very tiny, concentrated area. And his doctor said, hey, it's a small area. And he has friends that have had it and got treatment, and you're done. So he's got two choices for treatment. They do these things called seeds, or he can get radiation. Just radiation for 2 weeks, zap it out, and then hopefully you're donezo and you recover. So, yeah, Dio says my dad got through his prostate cancer. Yeah, I've heard mostly good things about prostate. Hey, you know what? If you're going to get cancer, you got the best one with prostate cancer. It's very treating. And thank you, Blade Runner, for praying. That's nice. So he was very relieved to get the good news. Obviously, he's not out of the woods yet, and I might have to take some time off next month because I basically have to move in with him because I got to take him to get treatments every day. So rather than going back and forth, I'm just going to stay at his place during the week and work remotely. And I'm going to just try to bring we'll see how it goes. I'm going to try to do PCL from there, and see how it goes. We were supposed to go to Mexico together to settle his strange brother passed away in Mexico, middle of nowhere. And the Mexican government is really on our ass to get this taken care of. The guy died last November. One of us has to go. I really don't want to go by myself. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's not fun Mexico. It's jungle Mexico. It's cartel country Mexico. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up. I don't know. Churches, my grandfather passed away recently, had prostate cancer. By the time they found it was already terminal ill from lung disease, so they just told him to live with it. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, obviously, listen, if I learned anything in the past year is if you're over 40, get yourself to the doctor on a regular basis and start seeing regular things. Seeing the urologist once a year is a good thing. Do a pee test, see if there's any trace. You never know. So now I go to all these doctors like an old person, but it's you got to go. You got to get yourself checked out. If your father feels like, put him on PCL and let him tell us some of those good stories. He's got a load of good stories. I want to wait until he's a little better. And then I'd really like to interview, just for my own sake, just to get these stories out. I'd like to interview him in a good studio environment. One of these days when I finish my studio. Perry had us really scared about you. I was freaked out. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, again, I didn't want to get into it on the stream. It's not the place for it. But good night, P-Bell. It's I didn't really feel like it's not something I wanted to. I was a little freaked out myself. With the whole thing. Why couldn't he have died in Cancun? Well, if I go to Mexico, I'm going to go to Cancun on the way out. I'm not going in the middle of nowhere, Mexico, and not get a weekend out of it in some resort. I got enough points banked with Marriott. I can get something. Remember your tiki bar fiasco? I do, and it had a happy ending. We ended up the guy that built the thing actually ended up getting arrested in a sting that we helped set up and got a full refund. So a partial I think maybe a little bit short, but got the money back. This summer I want to tear it down because it's just basically a storage shed at this point. Is Tony going to pop up this week? So the thing I had about Tony, I don't want to put Tony in harm's way, but I was thinking of using the George Foreman thing to have George Foreman, because George Foreman hey, listen, Perry, I've been through a lot this week because your sister-in-law. It would really make me happy if you made some pizza paninis and invite Tony over. Because Perry owes Tony a dinner. He did promise him that. So I'd like Tony, I in my head, I'd love him to come by on Friday, and they could do the pizza paninis, and Tony would be, and then any sign of trouble where Perry's going to get a maniac, Tony just beelines it out and, and let Perry calm down a little bit. But I don't know. Can we still expect a Bob and Tom show? I think you guys would be. Yeah, we've talked about that. I'd like to do that. It's just finding time in the schedule to do a show. And also, I would need my studio set up. Because right now, I'm still in the same room that I've been doing this for years in this house. This room that I had dreams of being a media room, which never came to fruition because of how expensive it was. But I do have an area that I built. I'm just waiting for the weather to get a little better. And I'm going to build out this area kind of on the side of the house. It's technically part of the garage that I've converted. I've put up soundproof stuff and, So I'm going to move my shit in there. It's a tighter space. This is a really big room that I'm in right now. But yeah, the show that we wanted to do, I told him that I think it would be really good if he just talked about Stern, and do a Stern-based stream and interview people from the Stern show and really talk about it, because it's one thing to talk about how something sucks, right? like Stern sucks now. There's no doubt about that. If you think he's good, you're crazy. But I don't think you can talk about how something is bad like that without talking about how great it was. Because anybody can be bad. You're just always bad, and it's like, well, nobody cares. But the reason why people are so shocked at how Howard is so bad is just how good he used to be. So talk about the glory days. Bob's got a ton of stories, and he knows people. So it'd be fun to like, and the two of us would be on there. And I think Bob is great when he has somebody to play off. Like that's why Bob's so good with Perry. Like Bob's like on fire. He needs like, and I would want to be his like, you know, we'd be co-hosts together, and you know, put research into it, put some thought into it, and like, you know, pre-interview the guests and get like old Stern Show guests, like, you know, there's loads of them, you know, loads of them. I don't know how long, I don't know how much legs that has, because eventually you're going to run out of guests, but I think that could be a really, and I would love to be a part of it, because I'm like a Stern archivist mentally. Like I listened to the show so many years. It's, you know, every syllable of the show. I would tape the show and listen to it later. Like I would listen to it in podcast form before there were podcasts. So, yeah, I'd like that to happen. It would be a scheduling thing. I don't know. It would be like a once a month thing, or I don't know. I don't have a timeline on that. Of course, Bob wasn't supposed to talk about it, and then people were sending me messages like, "Hey, when are you doing this show with Bob?" I was like, "Oh, I guess he talked about it." That's cool. I love Bob to death, so any chance to work with him would be great. Anyway, getting back to Juliet before we get too long in the tooth. So when I had him go to her door on Friday to give that stuff, I pretty much knew the reaction she was going to have. And then I wanted Perry to block her because it was just getting too much. It's like this. I just think that there's nothing good that's coming out of this. I don't mind Juliet on the stream, of course. Our version of Juliet's great, but the real Juliet's a problem. And then she's like threatening him with like, "Oh, I'm gonna report you to management," which by the way would be the best thing ever. Like him getting kicked out, honestly, would be great. I have backups for that if that happens, but. We'll see. So anyway, I think it's better if they just don't interact at all, because Perry can't control himself, and obviously she can't control himself because she uses him for free meals and rides and things like that. Anyway, Bob is the best. I agree, Syke, and you're a good dude with him because he, you know, Bob needs. I want Bob to be able to use different. He needs to get out of the StreamYard mode. He needs to start, like, I want to see Bob using like more voices and stuff like that, not, you know, just reading super chats. I think he needs to. Anyway, what do I know? I'm an idiot. I've been doing this long. I know what works for us, and I think what works for us could possibly also work for him. Testicle Tiger says, "I'll report my fist to her face." Hey, Testicle Tiger never liked Juliet. Not that I did either, but I thought for a little time, like, oh, maybe she can come in and be our mailbag girl. Maybe she can open mail. We can pay her. But I just think she's bad news. Cabraz, you're the best. But yeah, Bob has to do, because I've talked to the guys at Super Tip on Bob's behalf. There's things he has to do that he hasn't, that I got to walk him through, and he can't. You know what he needs, Syke? I'm going to be honest with you. He needs a me. He needs somebody to run the stream for him behind the scenes. He needs the setup that I have, and I'm still evolving this setup. But like, what I mean is, he needs somebody playing the comments for him, and not just like the super chats, but like he needs somebody. You know, doing the voices and stuff like that, but because he's not going to be able to, and nor should he, he's not going to be able to handle like a broadcast software like OBS. You know what I mean? So there's things like that. And by the way, and I apologize, once in a blue moon, you know, this happened 3 times now where the stream completely freezes up, and the only recourse I have is to reboot. So there's something going on with my system. It's showing its age. I built this system God, I think in like 2018, and I upgraded it a little bit over the years. The laptop I have is actually more powerful than my PC. Because the laptop, if you remember from TomB Week Volume 3, when Perry spilled champagne on that laptop, that died. And then Garrett, without my knowledge, actually did like a nice GoFundMe. So I had funds to get a new laptop with. Eventually, I sat on that for a long time because I didn't need one. And then when I finally needed one, which I think was right before we went to Pottstown to do, a mobile PCL thing, I got like the real badass like gaming laptop, which is still better than this. So I might have to get like a new video card, or I don't know. I gotta, because I hate when that happens. I thought I solved it because I fixed a bunch of driver issues and stuff. I don't know. There's a new piece of software that I'm looking into possibly switching over to from OBS called Meld Studio, and maybe it's more user friendly if Bob wants to jump into that. It's still in beta, but they're doing stuff that OBS does, but a lot easier. It's not open source, but I don't give a shit about open source. But they might do a thing where you can add guests, like video guests, like within the software. Like they're working on that. They do a lot of things that OBS just doesn't do natively without plugins. So I know this doesn't mean much to people, but it's something to look out for, and it's much more user friendly. 5090, here I come. How much is the 5090? Was it like $3,000 or something like that? Yeah. I mean, I have a, what do I have? A 4080 Ti, I think. And I got that when they were really still, cards were really still hard to get. Because we were doing the stream and I needed a good one. So because I use OBS to try to convince Bob to run OBS and I'll control it. Yeah, so what you'd have to do, you could do what I do. I just port Perry in via Discord, right? And screen cap it. And then I'm running OBS on my end. Like that's why he can turn off the power only once. The stream still runs. I'm looking to upgrade to... there's like a premium version of Zoom which does like NDI, like this. That's what broadcasts use. Like that's what streamers that use, like who are going remote from or having a guest on. I'm thinking of switching to that. It's obviously an expense, but I think it would look better. But I like Discord because there's zero latency and you could share. The thing is, you got to share the audio because otherwise Perry can't hear the tip comments or anything like that. I know you would think I wouldn't be having a problem with the 4080 Ti. I'm just assuming it might be the video card, even though I update the firmware and all that. But yeah, Bob can't do OBS. OBS is I'm still learning OBS. I've been using it almost 5 years now. It's a pain in the ass. And the thing about OBS is it randomly changes settings on you. I have to check the settings before we go on. There was one stream where it was it got all fucked up and I had to start it over. It's because the settings changed. It went to some crazy high resolution that it couldn't stream to. So then I had to set it back to our normal. Anyway, we're getting into tech weeds. But Bob needs somebody that can run the stream for him. He needs a dedicated producer. And I do it for him when Perry's on. I produce for him. I'm the one that puts up the comments and everything like that. Just so he doesn't have to. But he needs that for, and when we do if we do a stream with him and I would run it from my end and I would just go on his channel and I can do that with voices and shit. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. I also have an old hard drive in this PC and I think that might be a problem too, because sometimes I hear it spinning. When I play something, like a video file, sometimes it comes from that hard drive and I can hear it spinning up and it takes a while. And maybe it's just time to get rid of those old, spinning hard drives and just go completely SSD. Yeah, OBS is definitely beyond Bob. It's almost unfair to expect him. And StreamYard is as easy as it goes, but StreamYard is very limited in what it can do. StreamYard's good for having guests on, and you can put up super chat. That's all it can do, though. You can't even show a photo on there. You got to convert it to a PDF. It's a pain in the ass. when Bob and Perry first started doing streams, I tried StreamYard out. I hated it. But yeah, look at Meld Studio, though, Psych Labs. Look at Meld. It's in beta. They're working on it. They're making it better. I am very close to trying it out and just seeing if I can run a stream on it, just to see how it goes. But yeah, did I answer the Juliet thing? I think I did. She's just bad news, and you got to look out for Perry because there's going to be people that are, that's the thing about Perry. It's we all have our fun. It's like when somebody picks on your little sister or little brother and it pisses you off. It's like, well, hold on, I can do that because I'm their family and, I love them. You can't do it, though. That's going to piss me off. So I don't like it when somebody fucks with Perry, and that's what she does. And she's the type, I don't know her, but she strikes me as the type that just uses dudes, and I don't like that. Yeah, that's the thing. Tonight blocks the NIG. I know, it's so stupid. It's like that's in the restream thing. They have like these default like hate speech settings, and it's so stupid. That's not on Rumble. That's the software that generates the chat box. I've been meaning to sort that out, actually, now that you mention it. Let me see if I can do it right now. Hold on. Because there's no reason to have this on there, because we have so many blocked terms. It's so strange why that's on there. Okay. Oh, I see it. Okay, hold on. Try typing tonight now. Let me see if I just fixed it. Just somebody type tonight. I know we're on a little delay. There we go. Fixed. Look at that. If there's any other words like that, let me know and I'll take care of those. SPIC is another one. Because that's in there. And it's like a default. They have like a default hate speech. So I had to go in there and take it out. Okay. Well, one thing was solved tonight. I saw a question I was going to end and I forgot. Imagining your mom leaving you and your siblings to go out to dinner with Perry for a free meal. Well, I would hope that the kids are being watched by somebody else. It's not my place to judge parenting of other people. I would hope that that would be sorted out a different way. I bet Julia can't even cook a good turkey. I don't think she's the kind of lady that cooks very much. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know her. I talked to her on the phone one time because I called Perry on New Year's Eve when they were in the car together, and a female answered Perry's phone, and you can imagine my surprise. I was like, I thought it was Robin, his friend Robin, but I've talked to her and I knew her voice, and it wasn't Robin. And I was like, is Perry there? Did I, sometimes I dialed the wrong number. I hit his name and I called him. So that's the thing. So I don't know. And then, so I don't know. And as far as anything else goes, yeah, there might be, we do the thing now where we did it last year too, and then we got away from it. We got to take one Wednesday off a month, so I don't know when. I haven't done the schedule for April yet, but yeah, if there's a stream that's going to be a stream or two that's missed, there's a couple of things going on. Also, Jim, and I'm not speaking out of school, Jim is actually moving as well. Where he's moving to is none of your business, but so there's a lot of moving parts going on. So there might be some downtime in April, but I don't know. Maybe there won't be. Live PCL at some point, yes. I always say that I would like to do that, but it has to be done the right way. And I'm not. I don't want to be in a position where, again, you don't want to be stuck with doing creative and production at the same time. It never works out. So I'd want to get somebody to do our stage setup, have all the equipment working. I'd want to figure out how to go live so people can watch it online, and also maybe do some tip comments and things like that that the audience can see and hear, and also you guys can see and hear. And also, make it a smooth experience no matter if you're there in person or if you're watching. And there's just some things beyond my limited knowledge of live production, because I don't want it to be a shit show. We've all gone to things where, well, maybe not, but whether it's music or something that you like and you go to see it live and it's just a shit show, like oh, hold on, we'll start in an hour, we got to run over to Guitar Center to buy a cord because we don't have it. I don't want to be that dude. So if we do it, I want it to be good. I hope Jim doesn't get sucked into Hollywood. Jim's got a good head on his shoulders. I think, it's like when the good guys make it big. Jim's one of the good guys. It's so weird to me that Rumble's pulling like YouTube numbers, like still 364 listening to watching a stupid car graphic. I do want to change this graphic, by the way. I want to test the waters on it. I actually want to get his car driving down. Yeah, I think it's time for a little upgrade. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. There's other things to do. Perry leaving the stage to poop. Well, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. So, we just got to deal with that. Perry's got. Yeah, there would have to be a thing in the plans where the toilet can't be that far from the stage. Is it iconic? I don't know. Is it? Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe just use a little update. Would it be funny if it was his Corolla or something going down the thing? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Is PCL going to have a red carpet premiere for the Wild Western? I have no idea what they have planned. I'm scared to death of seeing what that movie turned out to be, to be perfectly honest with you. There's no way it's going to be good. It can't be. But I think everyone would be interested to see what a batshit crazy thing it turns out to be. I'd like to be wrong. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. That's a whole other kettle of fish that I'm not going to open right now. I really hope Austin works. Yeah, again, it's about money. If Austin's feasible money wise, someone's got to pay for it. And we're a lot. Like PCL. We got myself, Jim, Garrett, and Perry. That core four, we're a package deal. So, you're talking accommodations and everything like that. I don't know. Not as bad as putting his hands in the toilet to clear his own poop. Truer words have never been spoken. That was really gross. Things that grossed me out this week. Yeah, that. Him thinking that he can just leave a cushion with and let the pee dry. I mean, that's just disgusting. His belching last night was off the chart. It was really getting to me. And I try to be I do my best. There's times where he just puts me in a bad mood, and I'm only human. I'm going to lash out at him sometimes. But there's times where I just try to be super, and I've been in a great mood the past couple of weeks because I got good medical news. I got a clean bill of health. I've never felt better in recent years. I'm at the lowest weight I've been since the pandemic 5 years ago. I'm not going to tell you what it is. It still needs to come down. But I don't want to get too worked up with him. But sometimes he just drives me bad. There's little things he does that just drive me crazy. Me and my fiance only could take the burps. I know, and I'm listening to it, and I don't. Can we see the beard? I don't have a camera here. I'd have to take a photo and post it or something. I don't want to do that. And I kind of look like shit right now anyway. No, yeah, you'll see it eventually. I don't even know if I don't know if I'm gonna hang on to it, honestly. I don't know. Oh, licking the phone, of course, that's another one. And the TomB, he just pops it like, hey, he just doesn't care. It's like he just doesn't care. He just doesn't know anybody. It's like you got to save him from himself. I'm trying to get him to the gym to get like 2 days a week with a personal trainer but he only wants to do LA Fitness, and someone that kind of knows his limitations, and can work with him a little bit. What do I bench? What was the number that you said for the bench? I missed it. It's not in the 200s. What is the bar? The bar is like something, and then the bar itself. I start off with 245 plates. I don't know what that is, and then I'll add like maybe 10 to each for like the second or third set, and then But I have a trainer that I've worked with on and off with for a long time. So he does a lot of the. The worst part about working out is like loading the weights yourself. Okay, 45. Yeah, so I start off at about 135 and then I work my way up. I might max out at 185 if I have to give a number. And then I really have to force myself to go on my own. And trying to do I have a friend that I do strongman stuff with on Saturdays, unless we're streaming, and that's just like farmer carries, pushing a sled and stuff, and that's really great because that gasses me. And then we go to the sauna, and then cold plunge, and you feel like $1 million. That's the secret sauce. That's the thing that really I kept using the excuse like Perry. As far as like being out of shape and shit, of like, oh, well, the pandemic really screwed me up. And it did. The pandemic turned my life upside down. Like, really, in so many ways. And I was a much different person pre and post. And but then I realized, like, Jesus Christ, that's 5 years ago. You've been using that excuse for 5 years. And I've had little ebbs and flows where I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this. But you know what? I'm on a good track now. I don't know how long it's going to last, but whatever, And to me, and people, you do you. No, don't let anybody tell you, oh, you need to do this, you need to lose that. Do it for you. For me, it really became a health thing, and my cardiologist has no sense of humor. So he'd be like, oh, Mr. Brennan, I see you haven't lost much since the last time you were here. And I was like, yeah, the holidays. And he's like, okay, well, I guess the holidays are more important than your health. No smile, no nothing. I was like, all right, this guy. And I was afraid of him. And I kept canceling my appointment because I wanted to lose more weight. I was like, I gotta lose more weight. By the time I go the next time, and then the last time I went, I was down, but I was not down far enough where I went, and I begged the assistant that comes in and takes your weight before the actual doctor comes in. I was like, please, can you knock off like 3 pounds? She's like, oh, I really can't. I was like, please, I got keys in my pocket. It's not. She's like, okay, I'll take off 2 pounds. I was like, thank you. And then, then he complimented me. But I was like, yeah, you know what? Find a doctor that you're afraid of. and then you got to like just find healthy shit that you enjoy. That's the thing that I never really worked myself out with. It's like, find some friggin' healthy thing that you like, that you enjoy. And like, to me, my lunch is like, I'll get like chicken strips or like pulled rotisserie chicken with hummus and like a hard-boiled egg. It sounds weird, and then I'll put some like Frank's hot sauce on it, and it's a good, like, I like it, like after a work, and I look forward to it. A couple times a week I'll do that. I'm trying to avoid carbs. I don't drink unless special occasion. And I do intermittent fasting. That's another big factor. So I cut myself off from eating. But try to do it by 6:30 p.m. I try to get all my eating done by 6:30. Fast for 16 hours, and then 10:30 in the morning I can start eating again. So, and like just different little hacks and shit. And it's tough with kids because, sometimes you go to a McDonald's drive-thru and you're getting something for kids. Yeah, that fucking Big Mac sounds pretty good right now. It'd be real easy, but, try to avoid that anyway. I'm still not the picture of health, though. There's plenty of things in my diet that I should cut out. I'm trying to cut out completely Coke Zero. It's not bad. It's 0 calories, no sugars or anything like that, but it's still got other junk in it. Anyway, please don't think that I'm the picture of health. I still got a long way to go, but I'm better than I was. Wish Mole would make an appearance somehow. Maybe one day. I think what's going to have to happen is Jimmy Kimmel Live it has to end, and then he'll have no allegiance to anything there, and then he won't do it. But Mole's a great guy. I talk to Mole, not all the time, but every now and again we tag, holidays, birthdays. He wished me a happy birthday last month, and he's still like will throw like, hey, I saw Perry doing this on the stream. So he's a great dude. Having a Mexican Coke right now. Yeah, Mexican Coke I haven't had one in a long time, but if I'm going to have a regular Coke, it has to be high end. It has to be Mexican Coke. I won't do Coke in like a plastic bottle. It has to be a fountain Coke or a Mexican Coke. Because Mexican Coke, that's one thing, not to get political, but I heard Robert F. Kennedy, who's a kook. I mean, even if you support him or not, he's kooky. He's got a lot of conspiracy theories, but his health stuff is pretty on the money. And one of his things is he wanted to force Coke to go back to cane sugar and get away from aspartame and all the corn fructose syrup in the regular Coke. Aspartame would be in Diet Coke. If he does that, that's fantastic. That would be, because that's what makes Mexican Coke. Mexican Coke is the cane sugar. So, and I almost don't want that because I'd start drinking Coke, like regular Coke again, and I try to avoid it. Haven't had soda in 3 years. What made you quit? Because I can't break away. I have to have I like the cherry Coke Zero, maybe 1 or 2 every other day. Look up the Mexican Coke scam on YouTube. Yeah, I have. I've seen that. I don't believe 100% of that because there is a difference. And I've seen videos where they really test it. They test the difference in the chemicals between the canned Coke and the Mexican Coke. But there's a taste difference. There's no doubt about it. There's a taste difference between the cane sugar Coke and the regular Coke. And there's that whole conspiracy theory where if you go back to 1985 when they introduced New Coke, and they always say, oh, that was the biggest marketing scam in the world, or the biggest marketing blunder, because then they had to go back to the original Coke. But there's a theory out there that it was all planned to always bring back original Coke. But when they brought back original Coke, now in 1985, when they were still doing, before New Coke, regular Coke was made with cane sugar. When it came back to the market after the New Coke debacle, it was flavored with corn fructose syrup. Nobody really picked up on it because they were just so happy to have Coke back. But they snuck it in there, and it never went back to cane sugar. Now it's a cost thing because it's cheaper to do corn fructose syrup. But there's a major difference. I'm really into the Topo Chico mineral water. It's like the natural sparkling water. So I find those refreshing. I have those, and they're a little more expensive because they're a glass bottle. They're imported, but I'd rather do that. All right, we about ready to say goodnight, boys and girls? I think I'm ready to say goodnight. I'll probably cut the After Hours out from YouTube. Orange cream Coke. I've seen orange cream Coke. I'm not into that, crazy experimenting with the flavors. Cherry Coke is about as extreme as I'm going to go. Sparkling water with caffeine. That sounds strange. I don't know. I kind of went through everything I wanted to talk about. I wanted to thank people for showing up for Rumble, because you really, I will say this again. I was not nervous about it, but I was like, it's not going to be. We'll probably get like 300 people watching, or 500, or something like that. And then you guys blew it out of the water. Even with our stupid, we had to restart the stream. Even with our dumb crash, it went right back. We got everybody back. It was amazing. So again, can't thank you guys enough. I know Perry can come off like an asshole sometimes. I'm sure I can come off like an asshole sometimes. I assure you I'm not. Well, maybe I am sometimes. But I really appreciate the loyalty you guys have to Perry and PCL, that you're willing to come on Rumble. I know people moaned and groaned about Rumble, like, oh, Rumble, why are you going there? I just wanted to, have a place where people, we had a lot more followers tonight. Because you know what? I don't know. Yeah, look, we have a great thing with YouTube, and YouTube is the main jam. It has been for a while. It used to be Twitch. That's no longer the case. But, I just don't trust Perry. Perry can come out with his cock and balls one night after a shower, and, and maybe I'm not quick enough to take it down, and maybe they suspend us for a week or two. Maybe Perry says, I don't know. Knock on wood, it's never happened, but just in case, it's nice to have another hub, okay? So that's all. Somebody says King Cobra lost his YouTube. That's too bad. How did that happen? What did he do to lose his YouTube? That's the thing with all these places too. Like, unless you have a really high subscriber count, if you have a high subscriber count on YouTube, you get assigned a YouTube person that's for you. And any problems, you can go to them. So that's why all these big YouTubers, if they have a problem, their channel gets hacked, they go to their guy, and their guy takes care of it. If you're just a regular schlub, you're good luck getting a real person to, look into your stuff. I know he had a big audience. Yeah, I mean, there was a point in time where I was going to work with him, and me, Jim, Garrett, were going to work with him. I talked to him on the phone. But I just could never get into. I don't understand. I know we have a lot of crossover people that enjoy watching him. I just don't. I don't get it. It's just I don't get the appeal. I don't get it. And that's coming from me. I don't watch anything at this point. Like there's nothing I watch. I watch Bob when he comes on because Bob's a friend, and I'll put that on in the background or something like that. Maybe sometimes when I'm driving. But there's no other streams that I watch because I just don't I just don't care. I'll watch I watch a lot of YouTube still, but as far as like live streamers go, I don't watch anybody. You dodged a bullet with Coles. Well, that's why we didn't do it, And Scott, who was our kind of executive producer here, very behind the scenes. He's the guy that kind of put PCL in motion and really motivated me to do PCL. He was a fan of Cobra and really, really pushed us to work with him and was communicating with him. And we came this close, but, because my work schedule was different then. We're talking like 2022, like maybe 3 years ago, maybe a little before, maybe like February 2020, right around there. And I just couldn't pull the trigger because, first of all, he was just going to run things, and I wasn't going to be a part of his stream necessarily, but he needs a guy running the stream. Like, he gives the milk away for free a lot. Like, he could be making money off dumb things that he does. People just ask him to do stuff on his chat, and he goes and does it. But hold on a second, you can get paid for this. And sometimes I would talk to him on the phone, he'd be kind of normal. And then other times I talk to him, and he'd be sloshed, like trashed. And I'd say to this guy, I can't do this. I can't, it's too stressful. I got enough going on. Like, I got my regular job. I got Perry, who's stressful. But God, imagine Perry with a substance problem. Like, Perry's a pain in the ass enough as it is. Imagine if he was like a drunk or, worse. And you can't trust somebody like that, and you can't rely on him. And he didn't want to do a schedule. He was like, oh, I just want to go on whenever I want. I was like, well, that doesn't work for me. You know, I have a life. You know, if you want to go on at 10 o'clock at night, I can't drop everything and help you stream. So you can't handle the goth bad boy. So anyway, so what happened to his channel? Why did it get taken down? And what do you guys watch other than Perry? Because we'll establish there's nobody like Perry, and that's the thing. That's these other. You know, once in a while I hear somebody badmouth PCL, like a Kevin Brennan or something like that, and he's like, "Oh, Perry stinks. He doesn't make any money." Yeah, it's like you don't know what you're talking about. Like people are obsessed with Perry because there's nobody like him. Nobody like him. Nobody. And he's not artificial. He's a genuine article. And sometimes he's going to be a lump of shit. Sometimes he's going to be shot out of a cannon. That's what you're going to get. That's Perry. Hate speech. Be more specific. What do you mean hate speech? What did he say? Fish tank. You know, anyway, yeah, but fish tank isn't. It's not. Do I got to research this myself? Can somebody tell me what he said? Was shocking that Perry was out partying. Yeah, I'm happy for him too. That was great. Yeah, I like when he goes out and has like friend has something to do. He needs to get out of that shithole as much as possible, except when he wants to do it on stream. Trans rants, like what? Again, like what? Did he get suspended or terminated? Because there's a difference. Kill Tony, Compound, AVG. What's AVG? Red Bar politics fandom conspiracy. I used to be a big Red Bar guy, but I never got back into it after he took that really long break, and now I just feel completely removed from it. You know, I feel completely lost with it. I would never be able to get back into it because I don't know any of the current fools. I don't care. And even like Tony Hinchcliffe, which I know he always like how can you shit on Tony Hinchcliffe at this point? The guy's killing it in every way. He's going to be on Netflix. Like the guy's, and I know it's not so much about how successful you are, but the guy's fucking killing it. So he was bad-mouthing YouTube and the platform for trolls, mass flying his channel. Oh. Okay. Replayables is a great show. What's Replayables? Well, Kill Tony is always on when we're on, so I'm not going to watch that. As far as podcasts go, I was listening to that David Spade, Dana Carvey podcast. Not the one where they interview people, but they do like their own just rambling. And then it's something like David Spade. Like too much David Spade just annoys me, and I have to tap out for a while. You have to watch Red Bar watching Hinchcliffe's self-made documentary. Oh no, that's from years ago. That's over 5 years old. I loved that. That was amazing. I was really into Red Bar for a while, but I don't have the time. Like we do our own streams for forever. I don't have the time to listen. I know he doesn't stream as much anymore. But by the way, he's like the benchmark. There's so many people that try to do Red Bar, like Red Bar Light, like like dollar store Red Bar. But he has it dialed in. I just don't have the connection to it anymore. And some of it's a little, and I hate to sound like a pussy, some of it's a little too mean-spirited for me. And I know it sounds weird coming from me, but like it gets like too nasty. I'm just like, but sometimes I dip my toe here and there if I see a clip or something like that. Tony Chase. Is Tony Chase the guy that has been on Media Share a couple of times? Is it that guy with the white hair? You mentioning Red Bar once sent down. Yeah, I still get emails from people say thanks for turning me on to Red Bars. I know I talked about Red Bar a lot, but he took that break. I don't know when it was now. He took like a year off, and I know he's got some like medical stuff, which sucks. It's just imagine taking a year off from PCL when somebody's gone for a long enough time, you just fall out of the habit of listening. And I would never watch it; I would just listen. And you just fall out of the habit, and that's what happened. I fell out of the habit. Somebody says TSN Shuley Network. I like Shuley. NLO. Nobody likes onions. I like Patrick. Obviously, he's got the super tip thing. I'll watch NLO sometimes because he's got a really good setup. Sometimes I just watch people for their setup. Like, oh, I wish we can do that. Kumia. Then Red Letter Media Reviews. AVGN is Angry Video Game Nerd. Yeah, I mean, I watch him if he comes up. He's not quite the same as he used to be. Neither Red Letter Media. I like Red Letter Media, but man, Mike from Red Letter Media, he's just like he's so depressing. Like he never gets excited by anything. Everything is very like sardonic with him, and melancholy. It's just like, I like the guy Jay on it because at least he gets into stuff. It's like Mike just seems beaten by life. It's depressing, but they do some really good stuff. I like when they do the review and they review like an old movie, and then maybe it motivates me to see something. I've been watching a lot of Gene Hackman movies lately. I was really bummed out when Gene Hackman passed away. We need Jim PCL, the guest on BF Live. Sometimes that would be cool. What's BF Live? Forgive me for sounding like a out of touch idiot. Red Letter Media got famous because they did these videos where they dissected like Star Trek movies and the Star Wars prequels, where they really lambasted them and did a very good critique. And then they started doing other things that build out of it. But they've got a great, amazing channel. Like it's just I think it's in the millions. Bobby Fran Live. Oh, I think that guy emailed me. Sorry, I don't know. Not that me not knowing anything doesn't mean anything. I'm just completely out of the loop. I watch like various things. I've been watching like crime videos on YouTube. Like I like cops wearing body cam videos and catching shoplifters in Walmart, and then I'll watch like somebody getting pulled over for like something serious, or like interrogating like a murderer, like a woman who killed her husband, but they set up a sting and that. And then I am absolutely obsessed with there's this channel again, and you fall into these things. I think it's called Airport Security. It's an Australian show. Australia, if you don't know, is like the absolute strictest country on the planet to fly into. Like if you don't pass their customs, like they'll just kick you out of the country, turn the plane around, like get out. And the whole show, it's not new. It's like, I don't know, from like maybe 10 years ago. And I'll watch that in bed. Like airport security. Look up Airport Security Australia on YouTube, and it's always like Chinese people that are coming over trying to bring like all this like gross unrefrigerated seafood, and there's like maggots in the bag, and then it'll be somebody else who has like smuggling drugs, and that's a bigger thing, and then it could be something simple with like it's a misunderstanding. But I watch that to death, and it's just nonsense. Who's making these great Jim and Gina photoshops? Jim, I believe, is they've been really good. I have a new show working on with Bob, him watching body cam videos. You got to stay away too much from... There's too many people just watching shit and not enough people doing shit. It's cool to watch stuff sometimes. In my opinion, Bob's a good talker. I want to hear more of his stories than I do him watching shit. That's just one man's opinion. Hoarders I used to watch Hoarders years ago. I can't watch it anymore. It just grosses me out. It's too much. I can't do Hoarders. But I mainly watch just like random like food. I do a lot of food reviews. There's this guy I really like this guy. He just popped up for me. He's this British dude that does food reviews. His channel is called Gary Eats. And he's just this really nice British guy. And he goes around to pubs or like Gordon Ramsay restaurants and he does these reviews. And it just mellows me out. I'll watch that at night before I go to bed or, stuff like that. Bob actually pauses, makes fun of it. Yeah, everybody pauses it. Otherwise it's ridiculous. But there's a lot of shows that just people just watching videos. It's just enough already. You turn on Kevin Brennan and just all he's doing is watch. I used to have him on in the background when I was working. I can't do it anymore. He just all he does is just watch YouTube clips, and it's just you can't do it. I watch RLM go to bed or Voyager. Yeah, I watch Voyager every single night. I got to see what the episode is. If I like it, I'll watch it. I watched a really good one last night. If I don't like it, I won't watch it. I'm very picky. Nah, I'm not that picky, actually. I'll watch a lot of bad episodes. But yeah, that's my thing. I don't watch it. People ask all the time, "Oh, what other shows?" I don't. I'll see clips here and there. I wonder if I would like PCL if I wasn't doing PCL and I watch it. Did you see Cumia covered Kevin Brennan's traffic ticket body? Yeah, I did, and it was just really weird. Like what was he doing? Like that's crazy. I still haven't seen Deep Space Nine, Ghost Crusaders. One of these days I'm going to dive in. I haven't seen it. Yeah, that was weird, man. That whole thing was weird. It's just like, I don't get it. Why do all those guys go to... And again, I'm out of it, so treat me like a moron, because I am. Why did they go to... Because he was coming back from Lake City. Why do all those guys go to Atlantic City for Super Bowl weekend? Like, what's the thing? Like, there's no actual show to go. Like, they just go and hang around a hotel? Like, what is that? PCL is the first stream I started watching. Facebook randomly suggested it last summer. Well, there you go. Facebook's good for something. Did I give up on Dallas? I kind of did. I will get back into it. I started watching, though, from scratch. This is back in January. Better Call Saul, because I only made it up to, like, one... I made it up to a certain point, and then I just stopped. This is, like, again, when the pandemic hit. And I just started from scratch, and I've been really into it. I got 2 seasons left, and I've been really invested in it. Bob Odenkirk is actually on Broadway right now in New York. He's doing Glenn Ross playing the Jack Lemmon part, and Bill Burr is in it, who I can't stand, and Kieran Culkin and Michael McKean, and I really want to go, but goddamn, the tickets are outrageously priced. I know that they have to pay people, but Jesus Christ, you're talking like $600 for a ticket, like insane. Like, so, and even on StubHub, the lowest I saw, I was like, oh my God, forget about that. It's just insane. But there's a lot of them are sold out, so someone's paying for it. Random clip of Perry getting Wendy's. Yeah, I wonder how new people find, because once in a while you see somebody in the chat. Perry got big on Black Twitter. And I call it Black Twitter because it's just the clip of him of Tony throwing him across the room got really big, and a lot of those people started watching the stream. So and I see people sometimes in the chat. And I can't always follow the chat. They don't, most people are really welcoming to new people, but also people are really protective about Perry, and they don't want new people. We don't want new people taking over, because they don't know the backstory. There's no backstory. Like, oh, you have to watch Windy City Heat. No, you don't. You could just watch any stream. You're gonna get the vibe of what Perry's all about real quick. Real quick. You don't need any back thing. You can just jump in like, oh, no. Yeah, take over. Here are the keys. Please take over. You know, see what you got. It's good to welcome in new people. I love purebred PCL people who just randomly discover Perry. But there's no, again, people that go, Cobra's like Perry. He ain't. He's not. There's nobody like Perry. Oh, that guy Boogie is like Perry. No, he's not. That guy's fake as fuck. No, he's not. He is not like Perry. And yeah, Rudy said it can't survive. There's always going to be people that come and go. And even people you think have gone, they're not really gone. They're still watching. But people come and go. New people come in. And then, life happens. They have a kid. They get a new job and, whatever. And then maybe they come back in some way. It's a circle of life on PCL. But yeah, you always want to bring in new people, and that's why I'm very aggressive with like people get mad, like, oh, why do you censor this or censor that on YouTube? Because I want as many new people to see it as possible. Even the word sea sucker, like that's because Garrett and I figured out like that's one. There's a couple of key words that the YouTube algorithm seeks and destroys. It's the C word, see you next Tuesday, and sea sucker. Very explicit sexual terms. They can they'll age restrict the video, and that kind of, it's fine once in a while. Who cares, because there's so many streams. But when it's age restricted, you got to be logged in. It doesn't get pushed out as much, and that's what you want. You want it pushed out as much. Now obviously here it doesn't matter as much. Is Gavin completely detached nowadays? I have no idea what you mean by that. Any chance Perry can interview Gary Busey? God, too brain dead. Yeah, I think it's another head injury person. I think Gary's kind of on. He's from what I've heard. Gary's kind of psycho. But yeah, not a bad idea for a voice. I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna write that down right now. Not a bad idea. If Perry knows who he is. Yeah, he's alive, but I don't think he's doing too good. No, I know Gavin is, but I don't know what you mean. Like I don't follow. I don't subscribe to. I never listen to his stuff or anything, so I don't know. I don't know what he's. Yeah, he must be doing well. He's got Kumi on. Any thought of reaching out to DSP again? We did that years ago and offered him, like, Scott offered him money, like big money, to come on, and he said no. I think we've moved away from it. Like, it's one of those things, like, sometimes it's just very dated to bring up DSP. Like, it's not, Perry still knows who he is, but it's just, we've moved on from it. Like, it's just dated. Like, there's a lot of dated things that people bring up. It's like, ooh, it kind of sticks out. I was like, oh, that's kind of dated. This guy on Instagram is the closest thing to what you and Mr. Caravello has. At Gary Joe 2024. I'll write that down. At Gary Joe. I can sleep a little bit tomorrow, so I'm not too worried. Okay, I see this guy. Oh, I've seen this guy actually. Yeah, I've seen some of his videos. Yeah, he pops up every now and again. Sometimes when I'm scrolling around, I don't spend too much time on. That's why I feel very out of touch. I don't spend too much time on social media either, unless it's like for a PCL thing. Like I don't look at Facebook at all. People tag me in things. I don't even look at it. How do I feel about Kiwi Tapes? It's a good channel. I've seen some of its stuff, but I'm not always interested in the subject matters. I've seen the channel though. The channel's good. There's a lot of good clip channels for like other people. that keep you. Yeah, I've seen it. That's the only time I really digest. I don't care. I don't care about Stuttering John, or I actually like Stuttering John, like what he used to be in the Stern Show. So I don't care. Oh yeah, Testicle Tigers says Kiwi Tapes is a Perry fan. Yeah, I've seen the name in the in the chat. So yeah, it's a good dude. But yeah, I don't. Like, there's a lot of people that try to do like Dabbleverse stuff with Perry. It just never takes and never sticks because Perry, we're not into that. And I'm not shitting on it at all. But it's just not our thing. Deactivating Facebook was the best. So yeah, I'm very close to doing it, except that, there's family stuff. I remember like when my mom passed away, a lot of people were not mad at me, but like friends were like, oh, I really wish I would have known. I would have come to the wake and paid my respects. And I didn't put it, I ended up putting it up eventually, but I'm like, sorry, I kind of just retired from it. Like right around like 2019, I kind of just fell off with it. For whatever reason, I just don't give a shit about it. I don't care what people are saying. I don't want to know what my friends' political leanings are, left or right. I don't give a flying shit. It is nice to see like family pictures, some distant relative or something like that, but it's just buried in garbage and most of it's ads. And there was a couple of groups I was in, like, I was in this, like offshoot group, but even that, I just don't care. There's a certain type of, it's weird, like, wow, people still do this? People still post on Facebook? People still go to Facebook groups and like it's like a thing. Like I don't care. There's a PCL group on Facebook. I never go there. I used to. I just don't care. Not that I don't care. I mean, it's great that people talk. To me, I'm never gonna go there. Like it's not for me. It's not for me. And I don't get anything out of it. I don't get anything out of like. I'm trying to think of like groups I was in. Like I was into like audiophile stuff. I just don't care. If I want to research something, I'll look it up. I don't need to talk to other people. I'm not looking to make new friends or anything like that. The people in my life, I can text or message here and there. Yeah, Sean, I agree. Sean Riegel says Facebook is useless, but I use Messenger too. That's how I communicate with Jim during the stream, and I have friends on there that don't, for some reason, only use that. A lot of friends of mine in like Europe or they don't tag, they'll use that or WhatsApp, and I'll have those. But as far as the actual thing, no. But I use X and once in a blue moon Instagram, but it's mainly just to post. Garrett does most of that heavy lifting, but once in a while I'll use that, and then I'll get caught up in looking at a couple of things. But I'm mainly logged into Perry's account. I don't very rarely. There's one guy once in a blue moon I do go to my account because I want to see if like, oh, did somebody message me or something like that. And there's one guy that tags me, and I was like, wow, I never respond. Not to be rude, I just don't use X or Twitter, whatever we're calling it. And it's just like, I'm never going to respond to this. I don't know, maybe one day I will. I don't know, but I just don't care. Like, I don't want to get into a conversation with somebody. I just don't care. Yeah, Facebook Marketplace is good. If you're looking for, like, I'm looking for a bike right now again. So I was looking at a couple of bikes in like my area, people selling bikes. I'm actually going to look at one on Saturday. So I want to get now that the weather's getting nicer, I want to get, like a nice like hybrid mountain bike. But other than that, I noticed that Perry posts on Instagram. No, he didn't post. I did that for him because I just copy and pasted exactly what he texted me. He texted me a picture, and I just posted the picture, and then what he texted me, yeah. And Perry may get his Instagram back, but it's just a lot of work for me because he just falls for anything. I mean, he's going to go right for those Scarlett Johansson accounts and stuff, and that just turns into sometimes it's good material for the stream, or it makes a good phone call for Patreon, for everybody that's on Patreon and likes the phone calls. But it's a lot of work, and sometimes I just need a break. You thought I was talking about motorcycle? No, just like a regular bike. No, I'm not a motorcycle guy. Cannondale. I've looked at Cannondale. I'm looking at a Trek bike. Trek. Trek. Yeah, Cannondale's good. I don't necessarily want an e-bike. I want a regular bike because I want a light bike. I want a regular bike. I would like. There's a couple that have like an e-motor that you need for like a little boost if you're going up a big hill or something like that. That might be nice. But what's the point of having the e-bike do all the work for you? Like my dad lives about 20 minutes away from me driving. It'd be cool, like bike back and forth. Like I'd like to do that. But again, you think you have all the time in the world, you don't. I know I don't. My dance card's pretty full punched. But yeah, so I'd like a regular bike with maybe a little bit of e-bikiness to it when you need it. I really miss your clicky mouse. I don't miss that mouse. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to get when I get into my new setup. There's a microphone I want to get. I want to do it because I do other things in PCL as far as like production goes. I need like some good voiceover stuff, and I need a better microphone. The phone call when Perry got the fan club application is all-time classic. Yeah, not. It's up there. It's up there. My favorite is still the sneaky snowboard saga. That's still the best. As far as like if I'm going to sell people and hey, this is why you need to sign up for Patreon. It's that and that's something you're only going to get that on Patreon, and it's just it's so good. Although I keep saying I am trying to get that animated and put it on YouTube. But yeah, he's a weird dude because like he'll call me up, not all the time. But he'll call and leave an 8, like Sunday, he left an 8-minute voicemail. Like who the fuck talks to a voicemail for 8 minutes? He just has this stream of consciousness conversation. It's great. I'm not complaining. PCL Patreon is amazing. It's the only Patreon you got. Thank you. I appreciate that. I work hard on the Patreon, whenever there's a Perry thing going on, not all the time, you can't manufacture those calls because it's only when Perry has something to say. Sometimes you can. I could breed out a story from him, but Perry's the head writer of PCL, so that's so he leaves me a good voicemail. I always put that up, and then Garrett does a good job of like behind the scenes videos. Obviously you get the Mondays, anyway, I don't need to sell Patreon, but Perry and I split Patreon, so that's my main source of PCL income is the Patreon. So I do appreciate, and then also we split the what we get from the YouTube membership. And by the way, YouTube sucks so bad with that because they take out 30%. That's what the super chats are the lowest common denominator. I don't know anything about Rumble Rants, like what their percentage is, but the YouTube super chat, taxes on top of the 30%. So if you're sending $5, Perry's only getting like $2 and change of that. It's really nothing. So it's always, I know that super chats are the easiest thing because it's right there and you're watching it. But it's much better to do Streamlabs or Super Tip. Streamlabs takes out nothing unless you use PayPal. And then Super Tip takes out like 10% compared to the 30%. So it's much better for him. Yeah, that's the thing about him, Morangi. Perry can't fill airtime when you need him to. If I need him to fill time, like I'm trying to and tonight, like for example, like I had a copy, like the Rumble Rants threw me off because they pop up for me and I can put them on the screen, but then they disappear. Like there's not a lot of services that have figured out how to get Rumble. You have to use Rumble Studio for them though. I didn't want to use Rumble Studio. I wanted to use OBS, and maybe I'll figure that out. But I had to frantically copy and paste them into our TTS system, and I couldn't pay attention. I was like, hey Perry, can you just... And I still got to do more. Like tomorrow, that's what I'm going to do, before I start work, I got to copy more in. But it was a pain in the ass. Do I think Perry is progressively getting more unhinged as the weeks go on like he did last year? Yes and no. He always has ebbs and flows. sometimes he seems dopier than normal. Sometimes he seems crazier than normal. And then another time he'll snap. He's fascinating in that regard. I don't think so. I think his energy's been up because I really don't like it when he takes naps before a stream. And it's weird that you're talking about a grown man. But he takes these naps, and then sometimes he's cranky. He's like a baby. He's a cranky. Oh, he woke up from his nap, and sometimes the nap's too close to the start of the stream. So he'll wake up at like 4 o'clock, 4:10, and then we're streaming within the hour, and he's just a miserable bastard. And I don't like that. I like last night was peak Perry. Like, give me that Perry every time out. And he's a little crazier because he's so shot out of a cannon. But give me that Perry where he's just loads of things. And I like when he laughs at things too. Like, he can laugh. I like the little moments when he's on with Bob, for instance, and Bob really gets Perry, and he's so good with him. And I like when Bob's kind of busting his balls a little bit and Perry cracks a little laugh or a smile. I know Bob likes that too. I like that. I like when he's kind of like sometimes laughing with us because he realizes how ridiculous it is. So I like when he does that. Michael says, does it surprise you how occasionally Perry seemed okay with the exec cams? I am shocked at how long that gag has been going on for. Shocked. And it so speaks to Perry's laziness that he hasn't done a complete sweep in that bathroom. Like, he should have hired like a surveillance guy. Like, listen, they're saying there's cameras in here, and I gotta find them, and please, I'll pay you any amount of money. Use your metal detectors, use your radar, whatever you have to use. Find these cameras. What I love about the exec cam stuff is, like, sometimes like a comment can be like, "Oh, I saw Perry sticking his finger in his butt the other day," and then I'll just say like, "Yeah, you were doing that on Saturday. Like, what was going on?" He's like, "I was wiping my ass and I had the tissue toilet paper on my finger and I was trying to get this shit out, And I'm like, "Yeah, people were talking about that." He's like, "Oh shit," and like, wouldn't you be completely freaking out? Like, what? What are you talking about? People are watching me take a dump. I think that, because sometimes I think that the executive cam is like, oh my God, people got to be sick of this executive cam stuff by now. But he always goes for it, and that's the thing that when something has legs with Perry, is that if he's always going for it, it's evergreen. There's some things that are just evergreen with Perry. You can always go to it. I think there's things that definitely have their time, and we've gone past it, and it's like, okay, that's dated. That like the China thing, like that had its time, and that's it was funny for a while that he was like this thing, but it had its time, and we move on. But yeah, there's other things where it's just like it's always gonna get him, it's always gonna confound him, And it's always like, for me, I just like when you're working with, I like if there's like a good tip comment or something like that, or super chat or whatever, and I can just bounce off that and like clarify it more. And sometimes he'll, I'm tearing everyone out. They're all going to go. And he's never going to do it. He's never going to actually do the effort to like look for cameras. I did when I was there in October, though, that lens he always shows on the desk. I took a bunch of those are just like little cheap little lenses. Actually, Officer Lawrence got those for me. He got them like online. Like they're just lenses. They're just like little small lenses. And I put foam sticky tape, and I just put them in random. I think I took a video of it. It's somewhere on our social media, like all over the bathroom, like on the light, on the vent, in the shower, in the actual toilet, like behind. There's one that he still hasn't found. And he's like, I found all your cameras. I got them all. You won't be, I'm like, oh, that's just camera 42B, And that's, it's just it's so ridiculous. But he's so proud of himself that he found that little lens. And I wish I had him on video actually finding the cameras. I wish he had that in him, the content creator aspect of him. I wish he would think to turn on the camera sometimes. Like, all right, this is Perry Caravello. and I am going to find these cameras. And, it's like when he went to Macy's, like when he left Bob's Stream, like last month, he left for an hour and ran over to Macy's like a lunatic in that cut-off leather jacket. And goddamn, like he turned his phone off like a little bitch. And I'm like, Perry, I wish you were just a little bit self-aware. Just a little bit self-aware. That you would turn the camera on and like make that a thing. Because that would have been almost worth you leaving. So, did Perry poop his... No, he didn't poop his chair. His diaper leaked. Tom, your interjections are the best part of PCL. I think everyone's... Okay, I'm going to disagree with that, but thank you very much for saying that. I try to pick and choose my moments. I don't want to be... there's times where he needs to shine, and there's times where he needs clarification, there's times where he needs hope. I've been doing this enough times where I think I have the right balance, but, sometimes too much, sometimes too little. This is the way it's going to go. Church says, Crooked Cookie Chronicles is becoming one of my new favorite bits. So that's, listen, I can go on about Cookie's schemes for 8, like last night I really had to control myself because I could have gone on for 8 hours. And lie, that's a lie, you tell it lie, and then sometimes he questions it. He's like, I never heard of this. Well, Perry, you got to look into it a little bit more. Oh, maybe I do. All right, maybe. I love, I don't think that's going to go anywhere anytime soon. I really like that. Power Chat is Rumble integration. Yeah, I'm playing around with Power Chat. It looks pretty promising. So I'm going to see, I forget who turned me on to it. Somebody, I think it was Michael Wangler said check it out, and I did. And, because there's a lot of those competing ones. Some are total bullshit. He says, in Perry's defense, he was actually telling a story about Cookie before he grabbed his head and complained about being dizzy. It was literally right when you came back. Oh, okay. Yeah, sometimes I pick and choose my moments to dart out of the room when he's, reading something long or something. I go, ooh, now I can get a drink. Now I can pee. I always thought that Mr. Caravello was the only violent person that attacks his friends and wife. But seeing Wings of Redemption punch his wife out anger shows. Yeah, I know. You can't compare Perry to that loser. I can't stand when people saying him, etc. And that's gonna happen. It's just the nature of the beast. They're trying to be cute and funny. Yeah, and I, sometimes there's a way of tracking that too. Their name's on the receipt, but what are you gonna do? I can only do so much from 3,000 miles away, and try to make him realize that, fistful. At least I don't think he's fistfulling it the way he used to. Rudy says, I like it when Perry bust balls back rather than going straight for the rage. I do too. That entertains me a lot when he goes after me and says something, and it's trying to bust balls. I like that. It's a little back and forth. I like that. I like how Perry didn't question how the cameras. How about those Dodgers? Well, I mean, you're talking about the 2025 World Series champs, right? Why even bother playing the season? Let's just call it now. Right? And I'm looking forward to baseball's next person, but I don't think anybody's beating the Dodgers. Yeah, that's a good point. Sean says you can tell someone is new when they're worried that Perry will find out the truth. Is like, come on, that's not happening. And even if he does, he's going to forget it. Watching Wednesday streams make me realize your interjections are a great part of PCL. I have to admit, I Wednesday streams, it depends on the stream. Like, I don't like coming in on the Bob and Perry stream that much. Bob likes it. He throws to me sometimes, and it depends on what's going on. I prefer it to be just Bob and Perry. But Weather Matters is my favorite stream, and I know a lot of people hate it because it's just all weeds, but it's just so easy for me. Like, just not being sometimes like, and I like the bit where I call him on the phone. Like, I just like that stupid ring. Tom Brennan's calling. And, and he's, what is it? What do you want? Hey, Perry, you didn't do this, or you got to do this, or whatever. But I'll never come on the mic unless there better be a fire. Like on a Weather Matters, it's like it better be an emergency because I will never come on that microphone. And I just kind of like he's kind of like a deer in headlights, People say like, the streams were better like when we first started. Well, you know why? I was in his ear. I was like a real director. I was giving him cues. I was like, all right, this is how you react to it. I wasn't having a full conversation with him, but he was on training wheels, and I got used to that. I mean, that's what most people do, by the way. Like any news guy or host, Perry's a bird brain. They need somebody in their ear telling them, and then we haven't done that in a long time, and sink or swim. And I kind of like when Perry's just a terrible weather host. What I like most about Weather Matters is the simplicity of it. It's the only subject that he can really talk about at length. And also, I love that he dresses up in a suit and he sits down every single time. Now, we've been doing how long have we been doing Weather Matters now? For like, is it a year? Is it 2 years? I don't even know. And he actually thinks he's going to sit down and give you guys a weather report. And this is not PCL. Don't send me your nonsense. This is keep it to weather only. And I love that he starts out with that ambition that he's going to be, that anybody watching gives a shit about him reporting the weather. And I love the comments of people saying, like, oh, Perry, what's the weather like here? There's always what was the weather like in 1992? That gets in every time. But you know what? And then he watches TV for like long stretches to look at the news report. It's fantastic. I love it. I know it's not for everybody. But I try to space try to make the Wednesday streams a little different. So, cooking, that. I still want to do painting with Perry. Judge Perry one of these days. But I like, and then, it's up to, even when he gets a delivery, if he throws it in the trash, I don't call him out on it. It's like, it is what it is. Perry's going to do Perry's own thing on that stream. Yeah, and you ask him a real question, like, I don't know, I'm not from there. I'm thinking about getting like actual Chiron with weather and like having like 5-day forecasts and pop up on the stream, and maybe that's too much production, but maybe that would be good. Tony needs a redemption arc. It's hard to get past Perry's hatred of him. That's why he flipped out on him. Yeah, we'll do the video games again. Not everybody loves that because there's not as much interaction. It's Perry playing a game. You got to have the patience to watch Perry play a game. And I want him to practice more. Jay Fritz says, just stumbled on this channel, no context, but it seems interesting. Oh, you mean you stumbled on the channel now, like listening to me, or earlier when actually the real stream was on? You're gonna want to rewind a couple of hours, but welcome. You're among friends here. And yeah, for people that could be like, oh, please keep this up. Well, this will be up on Rumble. You can watch it. There's no way to edit Rumble, so it's gonna be on Rumble. When I put on YouTube though, I'm not going to include. I'll put the. I always put After Hours on like my Rinky Dink channel, and the few maniacs that want to listen to that, they can. Just now, okay, cool. Well, this isn't the stream. The stream is mainly this crazy guy who screams and yells. I'm the other guy, and we're just doing our little detox After Hours stream, which we don't do that much anymore. So when it does come along, it's a special time. How the hell are you making all these schemes up so fast? It's on the spot. Well, the cookie stuff is just Jim and I are obsessed with it. Sometimes Jim will write me something and I'll read that off, but like a lot of it I'll just whatever is the topic, I could just think of a way that Cookie would scam it, like the selling fake houses to people, or running a hardware store when the guy isn't around. It's just all these ridiculous things. The most ridiculous moronic scam thing possible. It's just never ending. It's never ending. Like Church had a great one where he was selling holy wine to churches, but it was really grape juice. It was fantastic. And then, I was like, oh, yeah, you went to Italy and stuff. But goddamn, it was so funny. It was so funny. It's hard for me. It's hard. I just love watching Perry's face. Because there's part of him that actually like, maybe I could see my dad doing that, But yeah, it's just like dumb. Like... fly-by-night scam shit. The kind of stuff that would drive you out of town. And then, as always the case, like I always think of stuff like after the fact. Like last night, I thought of one. I was like, oh, I should have said that. Like I should have went in this direction. And I was like, whatever. That's improv for you. You kind of just got to go with it. But Perry's a great person. If you're the right type of person. To have an interaction with Perry, and I mean like a real interaction, like you're actually talking to him. That's why I know people don't like when people call into the stream, like Subscribers Sunday. We'll do that every now and again with a member stream, but because obviously people like, oh, this sucks or whatever. But it takes a lot to put yourself out there, and you're talking to Perry live on the air, and some people are really great with him. Like they just know the buttons to push, they know what to say, they know to play. There's a musical element to Perry, and that's like with the best, with any kind of comedy thing. Comedy's like music, and you just got to know how to play the notes on what you're doing, what the other person's doing, and what the audience is responding to. And comedy's very subjective. Obviously, Perry's not any PCL in general is not everybody's cup of tea. It's just not. But, it's like Abbott and Costello, Who's on First, which is just this timeless classic. But if you really break it down and listen to that, it's music. It's musical. There's a musical element to it that the notes hit just right at the right spot, and it makes you feel a certain way. It hits a certain way, and that's when somebody like Bob, when Bob's with Perry, like it's sometimes it gets very, they get onto something, and it's really great. It's not always like that, Perry doesn't go for everything, and that's frustrating. But yeah. Talking with Perry is like swimming with dolphins. Oh, Church would know. He's done it. Yeah, you just have fun, and some people are very interesting takes, like do something completely different. Like Janet from the Reseda Post Office, I think is really, really funny and creative. And, it's just, that's the thing about PCL. It's like, I was watching some clip, I think it was Kumia, he just popped up. And he was talking about how all these streamers are just like digital panhandlers, where they're just begging for tip comments and super chats and shit like that. And I was thinking to myself, it's funny. Like Perry's the opposite of that. Like he doesn't want it. Like he's begging you not to. He ban this guy, block this guy. He doesn't want it. So he's like the one exception to that. Like he doesn't appreciate. He appreciates it in a way, but he doesn't actually. He doesn't actually get. You know what I mean? Like he appreciates it after the fact when he sees the money. But like it's so funny how like anybody ever calls Perry an e-beggar, he ain't no e-beggar. He's the exact opposite. He can't turn people away because people like interact. Because again, there's nobody like Perry. I've said it before. People are gonna find Perry. People are gonna find stupid PCL, like some random thing. Perry set his Perry's microwave on fire. Any of the big hits. Perry opening mailbag and it's a signal flare. And then you're like, wow, I can't believe this existed. And I wish I would have seen it when it was live and been a part of it. And you guys are, but it could be, obviously it could be bigger. I mean, it's pretty big. Look, well over 1,000 live views on most streams. It's pretty damn good. I don't know if I could I don't know if I could handle if the stream got bigger. Like, how would that work? Like, they're long enough now as it is. Like, I kind of want it to stay where it is in a way. I want it to grow at the same time. Have you caught the people sending bugs? Yeah, I know. I definitely know who sent it last night because we got the guy's name. It's exciting. Some people just do things to amuse themselves, but it's no skin off my back. I don't. People think, oh, you're gonna bother me or Perry by doing that. No, you're just wasting your own money. Would you be a guest? Would you be interested in being a guest on Bob Levy's again? You guys were great back in January. Yeah, anytime. I like talking to Bob. Bob and I talk all the time. Yeah, we talked earlier. Yeah, we want to do a show together like once in a while, but it's just it's a matter of schedule and stuff, Awesome to have Al Roker writing about hookers and cocaine. Yeah, Al Roker is just, and I'm so happy with Al Roker because I worked really hard on that voice. Like I combed through so many Today Show reports where he just, because I wanted announcer Al Roker, promo Al Roker, not Al Roker like normal voice. And I think Al Roker is the best voice, hands down. I don't mean like the most interesting character. I mean like just the voice itself, the inflections, the way he sounds so natural and so perfect. That's my favorite voice. And originally it was just going to be a Weather Matters thing where he was only going to be on Weather Matters, but I think it was funny when he started being like, coked up in some hotel with hookers and stuff. I think that's really funny. Gordon Ramsay's good too, and I had to work on Gordon Ramsay because he was too fast at first, but now I think it's good. I think they're all good. I take pride in the voices. We need to get Perry one of those green screens that hooks onto his chair. You know what though? I think preparing a green screen would be a mistake unless he moved, because his apartment and surroundings are so much a part of the stream. It's like the set, and even trying to fabricate something else, even for Weather Matters, I think would be a disservice. He needs a green screen where gay porn just randomly pops up. Well, that's not going to fly on old YouTube and Twitch. The hatred for Tony is weird, says Church Shirts. I agree. If you actually watch old streams with the Wrecking Crew, they could be 6 people messing with Perry, but he's yeah, you know what it is? I think we figured it out. There's so many people commenting as Tony, or commenting like Tony's on his way over, Tony's doing this, and it just fills his head, and he's built Tony up to be this ultimate bad guy, which he's not. And Tony can tell him a million times, like, hey, listen, I'm not the one sending those things in. Aussie Bob was funny. I hated that. I Bob's voice, and we even tried capturing Bob's voice. It never worked for me on the voice. And also, Bob's basically a part of PCL, and it just didn't. It was weird. And then I forgot to turn him off one time. There was a Bob and Perry show, and then the voice was on. The AI Bob voice was on as Bob was on with Perry, and even Perry was like, how the hell are you sending that in when you're on here? He's like, Bob's like, oh, I sent that in earlier, which is ridiculous. So I think, and you know what, it's just, you're giving people, you know, like, you can say whatever you want really with the voices, and I don't want Bob to say stuff that's going to make Perry turn on him or anything like that. So I retired the Bob voice. Yeah, Tony is Perry's Darth Vader. That's right. Math Problem says, I hung out with Perry at the store and he tried picking up a girl I was there with that night. That's our boy. And it was hilarious. I wish I could find those pictures. Yeah, that sounds like Perry. That sounds like our guy. Wes Mose is the best ever talking about it. He's very good. He was great. He is great. Really great. Yeah. I like when Wes Most would always be like, this is me taking control of this is me taking dominance of the phone call, and you're just going to be quiet and listen. Fantastic. Yeah, really, really great. Wes is a super talented guy. Flair wasn't funny in my opinion. Oh, I agree. It wasn't funny at the time. It does make it makes a good clip, but it definitely wasn't funny. Yeah, absolutely agree with you. I was not into it at the time. Yeah, now after, you know, it's obviously everything's fine. It makes a little good, you know. A lot of people found PCL because that stupid clip. A lot of people came like, oh, I saw that clip on X or wherever, and they like, you know, they found Perry. Gina sounds good too. Yeah, I took her from an interview with Tucker Carlson. Her sample, at least. I worked on my Bob clone for 2 months, getting it exactly how I want it. Yeah, Bob has some voices just don't take to it, don't take to the AI, and Bob just never sounded right. And plus, I just don't want to like I wouldn't use me. Yeah, obviously I wouldn't use Jim or Garrett or anything. You know, it's just because they're all a part of it. You know, and it's just. Random car parts during mailbag were probably some of the best. Yeah, I always liked it because they were Gina's car parts. That's all Matt C, because Matt's a mechanic. And yeah, I went out of my way for Matt when he wanted, you know, I know it was probably a joke, but he wanted Perry's skateboard photo. And I kind of made it my mission to actually get him that skateboard photo, because I can only imagine the amount of shipping costs that he had to endure getting those. So. Yeah, that's when mailbag's really good, you know, and you know, we'll still do mailbag every now and again, but I gotta have some kind of regulation on it, because otherwise we're gonna be there all day. Mailbag was started like early on just as filler, like, you know, I don't know how to fill time on the stream. Let's just do mailbag. It seems like everybody knows Perry's address. Let's just send it, you know, or send to his PO box at least, and you know, then it became this big thing. There's one. He started getting flooded. Is Perry like Kool-Aid? No, he would probably think it's too sweet. He would think it's too sweet. Yeah, there's a couple of people that have volunteered to be like a Perry assistant or like a PCL intern, and you know, maybe that's something we do. I don't know. Anyway, I'm starting to fade. I think I gotta wrap up. But thanks, guys. This was fun. And again, not to sound like a broken record, but you guys hit it out of the park. You know, like Perry hitting those CDs. You guys hit a grand slam tonight with really above and beyond what I ever expected Rumble to be. on your way out, if you could follow the channel, that'd be great. If you haven't already. And try to console the crybabies that couldn't come over, that couldn't bear the thought of watching on Rumble. Try to console them and tell them everything's going to be okay. The stream is going to go up on YouTube tomorrow. Even if you saw it already, just watch it again and like it. So the views aren't going to be great on that one because it didn't stream live. But it'll be on YouTube tomorrow. Then we'll be on YouTube tomorrow, everywhere tomorrow. Everything's fine. And then members only, Patreon only on Thursday, and business as usual on Friday. And then we're going to be in April next week. Imagine that, April. God damn. Thanks for March Madness stream. One of the best weeks of the year. Yeah, you know what? It's not that bad. Honestly, doing every night, it's not that bad. It really isn't. I don't think he could do it on a regular basis, but it's fun to do once a year. We started it last year, and we'll make it a tradition. We'll do it again next year. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's a long way away. Not the Bees. Great after show, TomB. It was a lot of fun. Was it? I feel I was very unprepared for this one, and well, that's kind of how it always is. We kind of just spitball. And I'm going to go watch some YouTube and crash out. There were a bunch of whiners who said, they saw enjoy your 3 viewers. Like all the little girls that didn't want to, sorry to girls, I don't mean to be misogynist. Like all the little whiny babies that were like, why Rumble? Ugh. Enjoy your 3 viewers. So you guys fucking killed it tonight. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody sending the Rumble rants. If you didn't get your Rumble rant on, it'll come on at some point. If not tomorrow, then I got to copy and paste them all over, into the TTS. Don't worry, I'll get to them all. They're all saved. And like 300 people watching this nonsense. Me just fucking bullshitting with you guys at 3 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time. That's believe me, I have like I people have asked like, are you gonna stream when let's say Perry quits or God forbid Perry gets hits by a 10-ton truck or something, and the answer is no, because there'd be I'd have no interest. But I want to thank everybody. I know PCL isn't for everybody. I'm not for everybody, even if you like PCL. Like, I wish Tom would shut up or whatever. And I totally get that because I'd probably feel the same way if I was on the other side of things. But I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. And I've gotten a lot of really nice, ever since Perry tried to dox my health matters, I can't begin to tell you how many emails and messages I've gotten from people just checking in, like, hey, not even asking for information, just like, hey, Tom, I hope you're okay. I hope everything's cool. And I really appreciate that, and it really makes me think like, and this is real talk. Like when I'm doing the stream with Perry, like I'm not staring at like a view count as I was tonight because it was Rumble, but like I'm just staring at my OBS screen, and it's just me and Perry. And sometimes I don't realize how many people are watching or how many people are invested in what we're doing, and it's like I always think like there's maybe 50 lunatics that are like obsessed and always there and always participating, but there's so many people that just maybe they're not in the chat, they're not maybe they're shy, they're lurkers, they don't send Perry messages or whatever, but they're there, and it's pretty, and I hear from them a lot, and a lot of people, I mean, Jesus Christ, like going through some really big thing, like I had bad divorce, or a loved one passed away, and people reach out and they send emails, and I'm telling you, I read everyone, I try to respond as many as I respond to all of them eventually, and it means a lot, and it's very gratifying, and people that get it, and listen, I go hard at Perry sometimes, it's part of the thing. But you guys get it. You guys are the real ones, and I appreciate every single one of you. And thank you. And PCL for life. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out after hours. I can't say I don't know when the next time we're gonna do it. But before we go, hold on. I'm usually very, very respectful of Perry's privacy, but I want you guys to take a look at this sweet prince. Look at this sweet little prince dreaming away, thinking of his girls. Doesn't that look peaceful? Doesn't that make you just want to curl up with your big pillow? And that's his Mike Lindell pillow. He just makes you feel all warm and cuddly inside, doesn't it? Oh, Tom, Perry was going out saying you're having reassignment surgery. Well, that would be better than him saying that. There was one stream where I was like, I wanted to strangle him. He was like, hey, somebody wrote in like, hey, I hope Tom is okay. And he's like, he's got cancer, okay? It's called cancer, asshole. I was just like, you fucking idiot. I never had cancer. Anyway, guys, thanks. I'm not gonna blow anything. Makes me want to wash my fucking feet after watching that. How could he go to sleep with those feet? Anyway, guys, good night. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for making this Rumble thing work, and not just work, but kicking ass. Thank you. Well, see you tomorrow.